second longer because I'm not looking for a solution. Actually, I just want to talk this out, and I'll probably answer my own question. Doesn't mean don't be the male side of you that wants to find the solution or wants to be relied upon. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, well, at some point, Matt, you're going to have to be the guy who either pulls the nail out of her forehead or you get the fuck up off the couch and you go on and find another couch to sit on. That's pretty much what it comes down to, brother.
Most attractive job a man can do.
Well, if this is for marriage or for a shag? For marriage, I want a finance bro.
Yeah, I'm also like naturally someone that just makes loads of money. We don't want a finance bro.
I'm married to a finance
Okay.
bro.
But in an ideal scenario, I don't want them going out into the city and going out to the pub after work and all that shit.
Oh, yeah.
No.
It's annoying, let me tell you.
So we need them to make lots of money, but we need them to be at home a lot.
A tech startup.
Not very sexy though.
Like sexy, tradie, I feel like.
Maybe someone who owns.
God, what the fuck is it with Brits? Where the fuck did all these Brits come out of the... Like, I can't sneeze without fucking running into a Brit, man.
A huge construction business or building company that also is very hands-on.
They started from the bottom, worked their way to the top. So they can, if your toilet breaks.
No problem for hubby over here. He's getting down on his knees.
One of my friend's husbands built their kitchen. Like, he did their kitchen. He also was a finance bro who built her kitchen renovation.
She better count her lucky stars.
I know. We tell her every day.
Kind of puts Matthew McConaughey's words into a little bit different perspective here, doesn't it?
Gets up, goes to work at 5 a.m. because he's a trader. Gets home after, picks kids up from nursery, builds a bloody kitchen. Built her a pantry.
What's she doing?
She's a nurse.
Oh my God, bless her. Wow, what a couple.
I know.
I wonder if you could get people a self-sex doll of them, but the opposite sex.
Oh, I've seen some people do this.
No, you haven't. You have not seen people do this.
They will get like
You're fucking kidding me.
No,
I thought this was a new idea. I was breaking new ground. I made a joke.
Why? Because you got one? Okay. That I believe.
To see if we can eBay your old sex doll and try and, fucking help the advance of the book. Get some sales in there.
Thank you.
and then I thought this was new frontiers, but people have got sex dolls of themselves in the opposite sex.
Yeah, and they wear them.
What's wear them mean?
Well, they put it on themselves to become that.
Who the fuck is doing this, man? What are the stats? How many people are doing this?
So it's like a suit.
Yeah. So it's not really a doll, I guess. It's more like a rubber suit, but it's in the fashion to look like a doll to some degree. Because it's like
she starts digging. She's like, okay, I might as well just keep going because I know this is bullshit.
Silicone material.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is doing this? Who? Please, I want stats. I want somebody to tell me how popular this is. Actually, I don't want pictures, but what the flying And you know what's going to happen is somebody's going to watch this and go, well, all these manosphere guys are making these dolls of themselves so they can like pretend that they're the female version of themselves. And God, just please, just no, stop, no more. I can't fucking take it anymore. All right.
I like that answer. Okay, in one of your songs, you describe your type as someone who makes 8 figures and is 8 inches. What other qualities do you look for in a partner?
Somebody who has high emotional intelligence.
I want a guy who's like jacked. He's got to have an 8-inch dick, and he's got to be able to finish my sentences.
Moment of silence for that.
I'm going to tell you right now, it is not going to be the manosphere that leads the most amount of men to the red pill. Is going to be Call Her Daddy. And
how is she so chopped?
Come with me. Everyone has potential. I'll take it from here, doctor. Yeah, that'll do.
Wait, is that the same girl as yesterday? Hold on.
It was like Kardashian, man.
Thank you. I don't even know how to repay you.
It's not going to suck itself.
I'm sorry, I had to throw that. I was gonna put that on Access Vegas when I was on Access on last Wednesday, and like we just didn't have time. I didn't know if the girls would know who Gorlock the Destroyer was. But that is some bro. I don't know who did that, but dude, you win the internet, dude. That might be the best thing this year. Oh boy! All right, guys. So welcome. I'm back in Studio One in Red One's. Look, so you can get your personal Red One Studio shirt if you go to, where is it? Share screen. You go to the Rollo Tomasi store right here. There it is. Look, so you can go buy it right over here, or you can go get the Rollo's Roughnecks right here, or you can get any Access Vegas you want, or you can get my band Jinx is right here. You can get all that good stuff, and we also have a new Access Vegas shirt here as well. So just letting you know that there's new merch up, and I'm making, this is all my stuff. I did all of this stuff myself. So check that out, and that is the store. It's just stickermule.com/rational mail. So there you go. And if you're wondering where the link to that is, it's actually in the description. You just have to go down below the fold, so you'll see it. But yeah, we're back. Thank you, Kyle. 2 weeks, man. Fucking A.
Been a while.
I know. Jesus. It's funny. It's like I got but here I have to do announcements right now. I'm sorry. I usually, I'm trying to like, they say to start a video with a hook. Like you either watch this show or you don't, right? I mean, like it's a talk show, and I love it when people like in the comments say, "This guy just talks and talks and talks and talks." I'm like, dude, I do one show every Sunday. He's like, "Who's got 4 hours?" I'm like, you don't have to watch it all at once, bro. All right, it's like it's a talk show. Oh, you want hoodies? I could do some hoodies. Some badass hoodies too. I need to do a Rational Mail shirt. I think that would probably be next, like a Rational Mail. I've got a Reignite one that's coming out too.
With the smoker's pocket, please.
Well, you were like, yeah, with for a golf shirt or something like that. But anyways, yeah. So back in the saddle again, and so I got here's the announcement that I have to make at the very beginning. And it's not much of a hook, but I am free and clear now. I am 100% cured. Here, there you go. 100% cured. I have no bag attached to me. I have nothing taped to my side anymore. It looks like I have a gunshot wound, and that's about it. I did actually shave my head, in case anybody was wondering, because people were asking me if I had done that in the chat on Wednesday on Access Vegas. Yeah, I did. And I'm still wearing the beanie, but I might be induced to take it off if we can get super chats up to $1,000 before the second hour. Super chats at $1,000, and I'll do the rest of the show with no beanie on. Then I'll do the grand reveal. There you go. I know everybody's like, when's you gonna take that diaper off his head? Wow, how much is it worth to you? I love it when people give me grief about wearing a beanie or wearing a hat or something. Is he bald? Well, I don't know. You're just gonna have to come. It's gonna cough up $1 grand, man. That's all I'm asking. You got to keep the lights on here, man. I got to keep Ned fed. So, my temptress, curse you in your yeah, there you go. No, I was not the temptress. That was Maya Allegra, who was on Temptation Island, who was actually a temptress. And if you haven't seen that episode, why not go watch it on Mike Sartain's channel. We did on Friday. We went before Babes in Toyland. Me, Mike, Maya, and then 2 of the other cast members from Temptation Island. Forget the kid's name. He's actually he's the guy that did the back. You haven't even watched. I don't know why I'm asking you. But no, there's Carter, who was like, Carter was perfect. No, she was I'm a whore. Yeah, okay. Carter was one of the girls that was on. She's actually she's a smoke show. But and then Harper was on with us as well. It was really good, really good. So so go check that out. But no, I mean, I had people asking me like, "Are you gonna take the beanie off? Are you gonna take the beanie off?" I was wearing a cowboy hat at Old Red for the it's not Jason Aldean's, it's Blake Shelton. Blake Shelton's Old Red, and had a really good time there. Man, that was a good event. Like the boots and bikinis ones are always the best ones because like the chicks like they get into it, man. I was like, damn. Even my wife got into it, which is saying something because she just goes. She'll go to one or two Babes in Toyland every year, but she never misses the country one because she likes that shit. Anyways, so I'm free and clear. I went and I met with my surgeon. His name is Dr. Christian Chan, and he is part of Desert West Surgery Team. They are 4 guys who are and I don't get paid. I'm giving them their props because I'm alive. You get to keep watching this show because of these dudes. So anyways, I met up with him for my last post-op meeting. And everything looks good. I don't have to. It's all good, man. I don't have to do a thing. It looks like I have a gunshot wound right now. That's about it. And that's what I'm going to tell people from here on out when they ask me about it. I was in the 7-Eleven, and I'm happy. I got now I can run. I can lift. First thing I do, of course, my first 3 questions are: Can I go back to Powerhouse Gym? That's number 1. Okay, I go back to Powerhouse Gym. And then can I sit in my hot tub? Because I haven't been able to sit in my hot tub for like 4 months, which is a relief. So I finally get to go do that. I can now eat all of the great meat that people sent me for Christmas and for my birthday, because apparently people think I'm this huge steak eater, which I am. But now I have like two freezers full of like really like Wagyu beef. I got a
nice.
I forget who sent me this. I think it might have been Harold from Reignite. I have a 40-ounce tomahawk steak in my garage freezer right now, and I have to look up YouTube videos because I don't want to fuck it up. But thank you for your support throughout all of this. What was my illness? My illness was that I was diagnosed with a fistula back in June. That is when the large intestine is pushing up against the bladder, and then what happens is over time and pressure, because I lift, I do actually squat, and it makes micro fissures between the two, and so literally the shit that's in the intestine finds its way into the bladder, and as a result you get UTIs, right? And so then in August I went septic, as you guys probably remember. That was a little sketchy. And then I did my surgery in December, which was the 23rd of December, and they told me it was going to be a 4-hour surgery, turned into an 8-hour surgery because they found that I had a lot of really bad diverticulitis. So had to have a colon resectioning in addition to the patching up of the fistula, which, by the way, is fantastic. I feel like I have a bladder of a 14-year-old boy right now. Man, I don't get up in the middle of the night to pee anymore. I can go. I sleep through the night right now. It's nice. Wonderful. I don't know. That was the main benefit of the whole thing. But so I wake up 8 hours later and I have an ileostomy bag, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck happened, right? And so what that means is they had to wait for the resectioning area to heal up, and that took 3 months to do, right? I go through a series of scans, no leaks, looks like I'm good. March 23rd rolls around, I get my small intestines get reattached to the large intestines, right? So now I actually have a full working set of intestines, right? And so that was on the 23rd. But the thing is then it's like the nature of that kind of a surgery or the wound is they can't just like sew you back up because it's like really deep, right? Mm-hmm. They have to go like they have to cut through muscle belly and stuff. So what it requires is you have to keep pushing, like it hurts like fuck. They get to keep pushing wadding and bandage, gauze and stuff down in there. And then after a while it stops, and then it starts healing from the bottom up, it's almost completely all the way to the top now, which is great. And which is strange to me, man, because it didn't take like more than like 2 weeks, 3 weeks to do that. Yeah. Like, that's amazing. And I'm not on BCP 157 or anything like that either. I'm not on the Wolverine stack either. I probably should have. But anyway, so now it's healed back up. And so, and then again, I'll just reiterate for everybody, this will last. I promise I'll stop talking about my guts here in a minute. But there's no cancer, which was great. That the biopsy came back negative. And then I don't have Crohn's disease, which they were kind of concerned that it might have been. And nope, no Crohn's. And then the diverticulitis is gone. So essentially all it was plumbing. So just moving things around, and that's it. So, and as Dr. Shan said, it was just bad luck. So anyways, I'm back on top, and we're doing going back to work, doing my shit. And we'll be doing the Reignite meetup in Miami the middle of May, which is I'll be in Miami from the 12th until the 18th. We're going to be centering this on the Miami White Party, which is the Babes in Toyland Miami White Party. It's if not the biggest, one of the biggest events for Babes in Toyland all year long. It's always very well attended, and there are so many hot women there. And it's a white party, so everybody has to dress up in white. So if you see me dressed in white, that's why I was there. And no, please don't wear hoods while you're there. That's not required. But so I will probably go do Fresh and Fit. Probably go do the Danza Project. I will be there with my Reignite guys. The fishing trip is already booked. So my deep sea fishing trip, which will be on that Thursday, which I want to say is the 14th, is already gone. So it's always like last year, I was kind of hoping, I was like, God damn, I hope I get enough people. And then this year's like the tickets like went in like 2 weeks, not even 2 weeks, like a week and a half, and they were gone. So we're all set for that. But anyways, that week I'll be broadcasting live from probably this show. I'll do it from the hotel room once again, and probably doing a lot of stuff on Instagram in case you were wondering. Oh, hey, there you go. She got mogged by. Oh, wait. Hold on. Lisa Sparks. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, yeah. You can ban him, but not before we go. Oh my God, you're right. I got mogged. Oh, no. My poor wife. She has little did she know. Please don't rat me out. Please, no. Please, I don't tell her. We had this honeymoon in Las Vegas. That's why I'm so drawn to Vegas now. Yes, you're correct. Look, there they are, the happy couple. Yes, every fucking episode, right? There's that there's that motherfucker. Exposed. You know, it's funny. Somebody's gonna see that and they're gonna go, but it'll be on Kiwi Farms. Yeah. People are like, did you know I happened to roll? Yeah. And then I'll be typing something. I'll be talking something about like Nick Fuentes or talking shit about somebody at Sneeko, and they'll bring the Lisa Sparks shot and they'll go, this you, bro. Yeah, totally. Oh my God. All right. So anyways, I have been holding off from doing this show for quite some time. This is, I meant to do the female teachers. I can't even say the word. They won't let me say this word on YouTube. Grapists. And you know, I don't mean grape. And the reason why I say it is in fact grape is because it meets all of the criteria for statutory grape. And I've been tracking these incidences since 2024. And before I get started, why am I doing this now? Well, I'm going to read this. I have it already queued up. I have this article that I'm going to read to you, or at least sections of it, because I know it's kind of behind a paywall. I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but Rob Henderson finally decided to come out and face me. So what I've been doing is, if you follow me on Twitter, and yes, I have my Twitter account back. I announced this on last show. So my Twitter is now reinstated. So it is actually me on my Twitter account now. And that's a blessing and a curse. But I noticed that Rob Henderson decided that he was going to finally, somebody in the ivory tower decided that they wanted to actually take on their reasonings. But of course, Rob, being the pansy that he is, decides to put it behind a paywall because he's kind of worried what people will say on Twitter, because he knows he will get just a ration of shit for what I'm about to read to you here on my show. But no, he didn't. I'm just to answer this question. No, he didn't address me direct. He never does. Yeah. He only just, there's this guy, calls himself the rational male, the Godfather or something like that. And here's what he always says. I don't know much about him. I've had him muted on Twitter for ages now, but let me tell you for the next 45 minutes what he's all about. No, he didn't finally address me, but he did start talking about, I think it's becoming unignorable. This is one of those things that it has such a high frequency right now that has become unignorable. And I expect, by the way, let's see, Dr. Orion Taraban, that dude from Tin Man, whatever. Who else will be following this show? Who else will be lifting this material and just like this week? I guarantee you other people will start picking up on this, because it's finally gotten to the point where it is almost, I mean, I don't want to say synonymous, but it's one of the things that the manosphere does is they keep track of this stuff. Well, they don't. This guy does. And so what I did, I'll just give you a little quick background. The reason I'm picking this up now is I went on a show about 2 weeks ago, and it's called Woke Autopsy. And who's a bodybuilder guy that came in here? I did the interview with him that one time. He's on the show, and then there's another dude that's on there with him. But if you look it up on YouTube, it's called Woke Autopsy. You can't miss it. I did a show with these guys, and that was the topic because they wanted to talk about female teacher student essay. Maybe that's a good one, right? Forced copulation, statutorily. And so we had a really good discussion about it. I'm thinking, man, I really need to talk about this. And then right between then and when Rob put out his essay about it, such as it is this week, probably about 4 more incidences had come out.
It's Marte Rules.
Marte, yeah, that's right. And shout out to Marte, he's a good dude. So we were talking about it, and I thought, you know what, I've been kind of remiss. I needed to get back to this, and so I started reading through what Rob had said, and a lot of it is just pretty much the mealy mouth mayonnaise shit that I would have expected from a guy who basically wants to sweep for gynocentrism, right? He wants to sweep for Team Woman, and it's always downplayed. And like, I'm going to tell you, like in this show, I've already said this. I did one show about this in 2024. And it was after I had logged, for the most part, most of the year of 2024. So in 2024, I personally logged. I have them in a folder on my Instagram. I've, the bookmarks. I have a bookmark folder, female teacher rapists. And in 2024, there were 79 separate instances of female teacher, male, usually male. There's only maybe 1 or 2 females actually in there too. Let's just say sexual misconduct at the very least, right? And then in 2025, last year, right up to actually New Year's Eve there was an incident I logged on December 31st. There were 91 separate instances. So 79, 2024, 91, 2025. And where we stand right now in 2026, we are at 25 individual instances. In February, there were 7 alone. So it's not something that people that you just you can't ignore this shit. And what were you saying about that one that was there's the pair of them that was recent? What was that?
Arizona. They had I can't remember her name, but it was kind of a famous TikToker sister, Noah Bex. She and the principal were basically in on with one boy.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I also, that's funny you should say that because like there in several of these, not all of them, but in several of these instances, the teacher involved usually enlists the aid of other students to be watchouts or lookouts, or she will she'll supply them with weed and alcohol at a party or something like that. Or in some cases, they're actually having sex in the classroom and they're saying, hey, watch out for us, right? Kind of thing. In other cases, there are other teachers that are aware of this going on and they are running, protecting them, right? And running interference. They're the running interference with. And one of the things I mentioned to Marte when I was on there was, like he says, okay, well, what do you think some of the solutions ought to be? One of the things I think we ought to do is if you're one of those teachers that ran interference for them, you are an accessory to that crime. I don't see why you wouldn't be in it in the first place. But if you are not reporting that, if you're not reporting that misconduct, like if you're in a police department and there's misconduct, you are legally bound to report that. Right. I would hope that the same thing applies to school teachers when there's some sort of sexual abuse, sexual misconduct, that kind of stuff as well. Apparently there's not, because I don't see any of the teachers' aides or the people who are like sort of like ancillary to the whole thing. I don't see them getting sentenced to this, but maybe I'm just not following up on it well enough to know that. But they are accomplices. You're right. They're accomplices to that crime. And I'm looking at this on what we need to do is we need to make it just as serious a crime for people who are aiding and abetting this as it is for the people involved in this. So that you can, I think that would be a good place to begin for sure. And then the other thing I was saying is like, whenever something like this happens, that it is taken with the utmost like gravity, right? I think that you should there should be a minimum sentence for this kind of sexual misconduct, right? Because what happens is you put a man into this situation and he goes to jail and likely dies in prison because he's a kid toucher, or he's there for touching his 16-year-old student in high school or something like that, or sending him. You can go and I said this on the show. In fact, I'll just say it again. One of the things that I have sort of locked horns with Dr. Richard Reeves, Dr. Richard Reeves seems to think that there should be a push to get more men into education, right? We need more male teachers. And I agree with him. We do actually need more male teachers, because right now the only male teachers that we have in certainly the public school system is you are a coach or you're teaching math, right? Or you're teaching some kind of, like earth science or some shit like that, right? Physics, biology, maybe something like that. But I believe we're up to 79% of your teachers from kindergarten through your college years, well, at least for your graduate degree, are going to be female. That's it. 79% in the United States. And I know that it's higher in Canada and it's higher in the UK as well. It's a female profession. And it's something that, like, I think Richard Reeves is really kind of grinding his teeth over. And I go, yeah, I understand. I get it. But also, how are you going to fix this? Because what you're looking at is a profession that is fairly low paying, okay? If you're going to be a teacher, and think of all the investment you have to make to become a teacher. So you've got to go through 4 years of college, right, to learn whatever it is you're going to teach, history, right? And then you've got to go through at least a year and a half, maybe 2 years to get your teaching credentials so that you can actually learn to be a teacher, right? And then in some cases, depending on what you are teaching, it might take you more or less time, right? But let's say it's a minimum of 6, maybe 8 years of your life to become a teacher so that you can teach at high school level, right? Maybe middle school too, I don't know. And God forbid you are like a special education and you need to like teach like, the window lickers, right? If you have to teach like autistic kids or something like that, if you're special needs like teacher, it's going to take you longer and you're going to have to invest more time in that, right? And so you got all that, and then you think about how much does that cost? Like, what does that cost in student loans? And you're male, so you don't get any of the same grants or this Title IX or any of that special dispensation that women do, right? So, but you got to really love, you're a man, and you really love teaching, right? Fuck it, I'm going to do it. How many, what is it, $100,000, $200,000 you're going to take out for something like that? I could be wrong. I need to ask Aaron Clary. He'd probably know. But so you put all this investment into your education, for a job that's going to probably start you out at what? $50,000?
Yeah,
45?
45.
Somewhere around there.
Depending on the state too.
Yeah. You'll notice that most men in education are either coaches, they're math teachers, or they're in administration. They're like the principal of the high school or whatever it is. Because it pays more. There's more to it, right? It's a low prestige job on top of that. So the status is not like, like chicks don't want to fuck you if you say, hey, I'm a high school teacher, And it's a female-dominated profession. So if you don't toe the wokesy, feminist, female, gynocentric, specific line, then you're always under the microscope, right? So there's that. And then you put all this investment, all this time, all this energy, 6 to 8 years of your life. You've taken out X amount of student loans. You have to deal with women in a work environment, right? God forbid you're conservative, right? And then all it takes is one of the girls in your high school chemistry class who's 15 or 16 years old to say, I didn't like the way he looked at me the other day. I'm going to report him. Or if there is any kind of communication that could in any way be misconstrued as like a sexualized conversation of some sorts, you're fired and you're never working again. And that's why men don't get into the teaching profession very often, right? So why am I saying this? Well, because there are few men that are in that teaching position in the first place. So when people ask me, Rolo, why do you think there's so many of these women that are, banging their 15-year-old, well, anywhere between 9 and 18. Right? But let's just say under the age of consent, like, why do you think they're doing this? Why is this an epidemic? There's so many of these instances and they all follow a profile too. Why do you think that is? Well, I can point down to one reason right off the bat, which is it's just law of averages. There's more female teachers teaching. That's why. There's going to be more. If there's a population of if 90% are female and 10% are male, it's not to say that there aren't some males that do the same thing, but there's more women teaching. Simple as that. So that's number one that you sort of have to like wrap your head around. Guess who never said anything about that in his essay on Substack? Rob Henderson, which I would think would be the most obvious thing in the world, but apparently no, we're going to sweep that up under the rug. So I'm reading through this, and I'm going to read just some sections and some portions of this to you. It's just to sort of like give you an idea of where all this is coming from, because for the most part, it's dodge and distract and you know, again, an eel in the weeds. Every answer but the most obvious answer. So I wanted to point that out that, you know, like last year we had 91 incidences. But people want to know why this is. Why is it? What I would like to as well. And whenever I log a new instance of this happening, well, the first thing, sometimes I do this. Sometimes I just leave it alone. But sometimes I'll just add, you know, hey, where's Louis Theroux in the documentary for this? Right? This would make a great documentary, and it's dead ass serious, and it's an endemic. It's epidemic, right? I mean, you can't ignore this. And so I remember when I started logging this, the reason, I have to tell you, the reason why I started logging all of these back in 2024 was because I was aware of like Will Costello's studies on incels and how that, and you guys already know what my opinion on that whole thing is, but the conclusion that whether it was correct or not, I mean, the conclusion that clearly the UK came to was that these incels are dangerous. We need to allot 20 million British pounds to identify and correct these kids so they don't become Andrew Tate, they don't follow the manosphere. And we need to train our teachers to identify it. We need to teach the kids. We need to re-educate these little boys so they don't turn into that little kid from adolescence. Yeah. We got to prevent that little psycho, right? Which is completely fictional. It's not a documentary. There's nothing accurate about that entire thing. And everybody knows this. And for as much as people were saying it's bullshit, we still allotted 20 million, well, the UK allotted 20 million British pounds to fight misogyny, to fight the manosphere. They are that concerned with it. And so I thought about this when that study was coming out, and they were talking about the fact that these incels have a potential to be radicalized. They're going to be criminals. They're going to be monsters. They're going to end up they'll end up like the kid in adolescence, but like they're going to end up like Elliot Rodger, which happened in 2024, and the dude killed 2 guys and 1 woman. Mm-hmm. But because he had a manifesto that said, you know, Chad, Stacy, Alpha, Beta, face mogging, whatever else was going on at that time, right? He belonged. If you know anything about Elliot Rodger, and you probably don't, because why would you? You were probably in diapers when that was all going down. But Elliot Rodger was the guy who was the UC Santa Barbara killer who went on a killing like spree, and was supposedly targeting the women he couldn't get because he felt like he was jilted. Well, he belonged to a forum that was called Pickup Artist Hate, PUA Hate. Yeah, PUA Hate. And PUA Hate was a forum that was dedicated for, now they weren't called incels back then. They were called like Forever Alones or True Force Loneliness. True Force Loneliness guys. They would get together and they go, fuck that Owen Cook, fuck that mystery, like that. They liked me, which is funny, but like they hated the PUAs. And so the whole thing was dedicated to just sort of like talking shit and sort of bringing down like the PUA movement, right? Which was kind of dying at that point anyways. But they're single-handedly the True Force Loneliness guys. And, when we were talking about like incels and stuff like that, nobody remembers TFL, two personalities. Nobody remembers the Forever Alones. Nobody remembers all of the communities that were on 4chan that led into the Reddit communities after that. And then even Reddit then quarantined the red pill, forum and then let it die. Right. So you've got these guys who are the TFLs that turned into the incels later on, or they were called incels later on after that. Part of them came out of the MRA movement. Part of them ended up moving. And then the MRA movement, guys in the MRAs decided to go into the MGTOW movement because they didn't agree with whatever the MRAs were taught. They didn't agree with Paul Elam and Dean Esme and the rest of them. So they hived off into become the MGTOWs. And then you've got what would become the incels, which is true forced loneliness. But that's what Elliot Rogers was a part of, right? People keep going back to that. That was 2014, man. That was like 12 years ago. I'm like, anybody else you got, right? Can you give me some more, right? Then there's Sidoni, I think is what his name is. And I think he's the guy that was the dude who supposedly like took a panel truck and ran through like some chick. He's specifically targeting chicks, and it was in Canada. People don't even remember that, right? They don't even know who the dude is. Then there was the guy I think it was in 2009, who was he went to like the Thai massage places or something like that, or he went to the yoga places and decided he was going to go kill chicks there too, right? But I can count on the fingers of one hand how many quote unquote incel killers there have been. And I would say most of them are questionable in the first place. But I'll give you Elliot Rodger. You can have Elliot Rodger, okay? You got one at the very least. And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, are we really that worried about the incel movement that we think they're going to be radicalized so much so that poor women are going to be shaken in their boots and that we need to do something about it? We need to have NGOs watch Rollo and Andrew Wilson and Aaron Clary and Fresh and Fit, and make sure that we throttle their viewership and divert their traffic to Justin Baldoni, right? And I was looking at this, I'm like, do we really is it why are they doing? Now I understand why they were doing it, because it was government sponsored. But the reason why they were doing it is because they needed a boogeyman. But the premise of it is what got me. And so there was a point where I was like, okay, and I kept seeing all these stories of female teachers getting arrested and or convicted, whatever, for banging their underage students. And I thought about that, and then I remember when I was wondering about the radicalization of incels, because that's what they said we were all doing. I started counting. I think it was like January, February of 2024. And I started counting the number of, because I'm a smart ass, right? And I started counting the number of incidences there were. And damn it, I think got like 5 or something like that. And then February rolls around, I got another 4. So we're already 9. We're already 9 deep, right? And by March, we're like 20 some odd deep. And I'm like, fuck. And then, so that's when I posted I made this one tweet back in the day. I should probably go dig it up at some point, but it all began with one tweet, and that was, there have been more female teacher student statutory rape incidences in the last month, and this is true, in the last month, than there have been incel killers in the last 12 years, or well, that's 10 years at that time, right?
Yeah.
And everyone thought that I was trying to point at the teachers themselves. They thought I was trying to, men do that too. And like, that's not the point. I'm saying your concern with incel killers being radicalized by the manosphere of the red pill is misplaced. And the money that's been spent on that has been misappropriated. Okay. We should be studying these teachers and finding out what the fuck is going on with them. Why is this happening in such large numbers, and not just in the United States, also in the UK? So, and other westernized places too, but I'm only looking at US and UK. Why is this happening? This seems like if it was men that was doing this, if it were male teachers that were sexually assaulting, whatever, if they were if it was a statutory raping their students, or hell, if they were even sending inappropriate texts to their female students, there would be a senatorial inquisition about this. And that would have been in the first months of 2024. But no, we're going to go take that money. We're going to apply it because we're worried about those incels and those manospheres. And what is this Chad and Stacy thing I'm hearing about? And what is looks maxing? And so they have all these, they have to come up with these studies about what these buzzwords and everything are, and they're spending taxpayer dollars to do it. And then handing off $800,000 to NGOs like Diverting Hate because they want to keep an eye with their watchdog on me. They're a watchdog on Aaron Clary. They're a watchdog on MTR. MTR. And Sandman, of all people, by the way. I almost feel bad for Sam. I don't really talk to Sandman that much, but I feel bad for the guy because we're all in the same boat, right? Rich Cooper on the same list. And so I'm thinking, where are they throwing money to watch us when you've got this epidemic of female teachers that are statutorily raping their students? Well, guess what? So I just kept tracking all of these numbers all the way through to the end of 2024. Comes out 79. So then I've done this on a couple of occasions. After that happened, I was like, there have been, and I checked this to make sure to make sure Grok wasn't going to contradict me, right? Then I said, I made another post, and I said there have been more female teacher SA/grape incidences in 2024 than there have been like Catholic priests, SA charges in the last 2 years, 10 years, whatever it was. And people lost their shit. They're like, "What is Grok? Is that true?" Yes, it is true, actually. And what's funny is when Grok even like backs me up on this, silence, fucking crickets. No, nobody. That's what. There we go. And so I ended up doing a show, and I believe it was like in December of 2024 where I covered all of this. So I'm going to cover this just one more time because when I talk about this now and when I log each one of these, and thank you, by the way, everybody throws, I'm the guy who's collecting these. So everybody throws these stories at me. And so I'll have logged one on like in February, and then people will throw it at me in like April. I'm like, no, dude, I got it, man. Thanks. So I started logging these things, and I have my own theory as to why this is going on. The number one is there's just a higher concentration of women, period. So there's that. And then when I am logging these, I'll say, female teacher, student, rapist, number, like the most recent one was 25, number 25 for 2026. Then once I do the reason I do that is so I can search it and I can come back to it, because I always do the same. I always say the same thing so I can research it. And that because there's so many of them, I can't keep track of them. And so after I do that, then I'll throw something out there like, still waiting for the documentary from Louis Theroux on the teachers, this epidemic, right? Or still waiting to hear from Date Psych or from Rob Henderson or from anybody who wants to throw shit at me and Mike and everybody else who's saying we're misappropriating or we're in some way misinterpreting evolutionary psychology to serve our own ends. Okay, fine, great. How come there's no study? How come you guys, I would think this would be right up your alley. Mac and Murphy, it's on a silver fucking platter, man. Here it is. Teacher, student, it's juicy, man. It's red meat. Here you go, man. Why would this not be? You know why? Because they don't want to touch it, because it's unflattering truths about female nature. They will never fucking touch it. And so Rob Henderson surprised me just this week. He touched it for a moment. Or did he? No, he really didn't. But it's about what I would expect from somebody who just wants to sweep for the feminine imperative, right? Now, I'm going to tell you a few things as we move along through this response, anyways. But I would say that this is the first time any of these, the usual suspects has ever taken this on. So I have to give, kudos to bravo to Rob Henderson for actually having the sack to actually even write a worthless, a paywalled response to this, because he's too much of a coward to make it free and it's a short article. You could have put it on Twitter. You probably would have made some money off of it too, because Twitter wants you to write articles right now. But be that as it may, I think it was really more about he just didn't want the response. He didn't want, and he wanted his Mensa Club people to respond. He didn't want the animals on Twitter to respond to him. He wanted somebody who was going to give him, and so I responded to him really both on Twitter and on Substack, because I pay to subscribe to his Substack, because I think Rob Henderson is worth that. He's a very good writer, and I like what he has to say. I think he was a much better writer and a much better, human being in general when he didn't have his doctorate. When he was in school. I've been following Rob for a long time, since like 2019, 2018, before he even had a Substack. And he was one of the guys I still do quote evolutionary statistics and research from. Now, he's not as good as like Rolf Dengen or Steve Stewart Williams, who's got a really great book coming out. It's 1 billion years of sex differences, and get it now. Because I'm going to tell you, because you can pre-order it right now. It's coming out in June. Some people already have. I know he's got some pre-reads, or he's got some previews of it sent out. I wish I could be one of them. I'm not in the cool kids club, so I don't get one of those things. But Mike and I are just like salivating, waiting for this, to come, because like he's already been. If you follow him, one more guy I actually paid subscribe to on Substack is Steve Stewart Williams. Steve Stewart Williams is a evolutionary psychologist. Dr. Steve Stewart Williams is an evolutionary psychologist. I think he is on par, if not better, dare I say, than Dr. David Buss. Everybody drink. Mike would probably disagree with me, but I will say Steve's got his shit together, and he is a good writer, and he is the guy that wrote The Ape That Understood the Universe, which is his last book, which was, a while ago. But the new one's coming out, and I will guarantee you it's going to upset a lot of people's apple carts. People are going to be shitting their pants when this comes out, and I will guarantee you that it will inadvertently confirm so much of the red pill for the last 22, 25 years, and people won't even know it. In fact, I'm seeing this a lot, by the way. That's why I keep throwing out the Call Her Daddy podcasts over and over again, because it's not going to be me that brings the most people to red pill awareness. It's going to be that bitch from Call Her Daddy. That's who's going to do it. It's going to be Kate Hudson. It's going to be Hillary Duff. It's going to be whatever that other chick was. Name the girl that's been on Call Her Daddy. Every time they go on there, every segment, every clip confirms something I've said or something the manosphere has talked about over the past 20 some odd years. And so we're misogynists for talking about it, but Hillary Duff, bravo, is courageous and brave. So anyways, when that book comes out, I have a feeling it's going to really upset a lot of people. But be that as it may, they still won't touch the female teacher underage student dynamic. Now, there's a few things that come along with that, and I kind of need to delve into those as well, like the reasons behind it. But one of the things, I lock horns also, which I am prone to do. Gwyneth Paltrow, thank you. I'm prone to do is Richard Hania is also thrown his hat in the ring here too. And pretty much saying, well, it doesn't matter because the boys are lucky. Those kids were lucky. Those guys were lucky. They enjoyed it. They loved banging those guys. I'm not saying they didn't. I'm saying it's a fucking crime. Literally meets the definition of statutory RAPE or SA or whatever you want to call it. It literally meets that definition because those boys are minors and they are under the age of consent and therefore cannot legally give consent to any kind of sex, certainly not with an adult. A crime has been committed. Either You agree that it's okay for a 15-year-old minor to have sex with an adult, male or female, or we have a unitary standard of justice, or we have a separate standard of justice for women. And that's exactly what they want. That's exactly where they go with this. Well, it's okay because the kid enjoyed it. Even Adam Carolla was talking about, well, if the kid got his rocks off, is it really a crime? Yes, Adam, it fucking is a crime. And that woman, and as we can see with some of these cases, they're being convicted and they are going to jail for such things. And for a long time, some of them are pretty egregious. The one that I recorded last was, the kid was like something like 12 years old. And the girl, the female teacher, groomed this kid all the way up until he was like 17 or 18 years old. From 12 to 18. Grooming this kid. Did he enjoy it? I don't know. And I don't fucking care whether he enjoyed it or not. That's a crime. If Andrew Tate does that, you want him to be hanged from the highest tree. If this sexy little blonde, perky little tits, 23-year-old history teacher does that in high school, in this case, middle school, I'd say he probably enjoyed it. Just like, she's too pretty. Let her go. We either have a unitary standard of justice or we don't. Or we have a separate standard of justice for women. They're already getting more lenient sentences than men across the board for the same fucking crimes. That is one of the most replicable, most researched statistics certainly in my field, or certainly in the manosphere for sure, but it's one of the most easily provable facts. Women get more lenient sentences for the same crimes than men. Well, they can take on the chin. What was it? Was it 12 to 8? 8 to 12? Give him 12. It's a chick. 8, and maybe she gets off for good behavior in 2 years, right? Either we have a unitary standard of justice or we don't. I think that's also, so getting back to why do these girls do this? I think that's one of the reasons is it seems like it should be. It seems like it's going to be okay. No, they're not. Remember, these are the incidences that I know of. These are the incidences that made news. These are the incidences that were passed along to me to relate to you guys, or at least that I archived. There might have been more. There might, some of them got convicted. Some of them are still being processed. I can remember, I know that there's, just recently, there was one that I logged in 2024 and the girl finally got convicted or finally got sentenced to jail in like March of 2026. 2 years after the fact. And then there's the husbands. And a great many of them stay with their chick. Oh, we're going to work it out. We're going to go to counseling. She has a real problem. We're going to have to figure things out here. She's damaged, which is that's everybody's favorite rationale is the poor teacher's just damaged. All 91 of them. Poor teacher, all 79 the year before that. They're all yeah. Well, if they are, we need to have a different vetting system for the education system. I'll tell you that right now. We've definitely like screwed the pooch on that somewhere along the line. So we have this epidemic, and I don't feel bad calling it an epidemic. However, I'm going to read this to you. This is I don't know if I want to show this because he has it behind a paywall, and I don't want to fuck over Rob too much on this one. But so here's how it starts. He says, every few months, yet another female teacher makes the headlines for sleeping with an underage male student. To understand why these women cross the line with male students, you first have to understand something uncomfortable about the psychology of desire, attention, and power. I'm thinking it's more about like sex, Rob, but let's just keep going. It starts with the basic fact about female desire that almost nobody wants to say out loud, except for those fuckers in the manosphere, except for every last one of those guys in the red pill for the last, 20 years. It starts with this. What I'm about to explain has less to do with predatory impulses than with something far more unsettling. Ooh. A central motive for many female teachers when they have sexual relationships with underage boys is the power they get from the boys' reactions. The woman enjoys the sense of being intensely desired. She wouldn't experience this with an adult man who has been with other women before, who wouldn't react with the same level of raw intensity and excitement. Okay, not a bad start. I think it's still incomplete, and the reason why I say that is because a high percentage of the women, at least the ones that I have tracked, have been married. They're already in those relations. They're already in relationships. Now, he might have a point here in that most of the guys stick with the chick. A few of them divorce, like a handful of them will divorce. But the greater majority of the husbands, it's literally in the article. It says, the husband says, well, we're going to work things out. I'm going to stand by. So-and-so is standing by his wife, right? Whether or not that really happens or not, I don't know. But at the time when it happened, that's what they were saying, right? So it leads me to believe that the guys that they are involved with, and most of them follow a profile. The guys, some of them are married. A good portion of them are married. Not all of them, but a good portion of them are married. And usually the demographic is something like this. They are anywhere between 24 and 44 years old, somewhere in that age range. Some for the most, like the average, I think, is somewhere between 24 and about 30. So they tend to be younger. They tend to be in their 20s. Like in some cases, they're still in their hoe phase, right? So and what have they done in their hoe phase, right? Well, not much. If they had to go through, as I said before, 4 years of learning, to get your bachelor's degree. Then you've got, and it depends on what they're teaching. It might be their master's degree. There's another 2, right? And then there's teaching credentials on top of that. Then there's a low-paying, low-status job, and there is then there's student loans that go along with that as well. So you got a woman who's already kind of financially strapped as it is, and has clearly spent a lot of time to be the hot girl at the high school or the middle school or whatever it is. And they're not always like that, okay? But you got a woman who's, let's just say, with the average, let's say she's 28, maybe 30, somewhere in there. A lot of them tend to be married, okay? So there might be a kernel of truth to the fact that they're married to a guy who's a beta, because the guy who's going to stand by his chick after this shit goes down, I can tell you right now the nature of their relationship, okay? So there might be a kernel of truth to that, okay? But is it a power dynamic? I don't think so. Now he's going to go off into it being an attention dynamic here, okay? The woman enjoys a sense of being intensely desired she wouldn't experience with a man who has already been with other women. The appeal comes from the overwhelming response of a teenage boy who has never been close to a naked woman. His hormones are raging and his reaction is pure and raw and unfiltered. This is a hypothesis, but grounded in what we know about the differences between men and women. The drives of male and female predators are warped and atypical, with narcissistic, borderline psychopathic personality traits, but still reflects something about ordinary male and female psychology. Now, you'll notice the language has been sort of like neutralized here, male and female. No, Rob, we're just talking about the gals, the girls in this sense. Okay, so could you say predatory men tend to be dark triad? Absolutely, you can. Were the 91 women in 2025 all dark triad and fucked up in the head? Well, if they are, we got a real serious problem. We need to do psych evaluations of these chicks before we let them with our kids, right? I don't think so. I don't think they were damaged. I think this is just simply innate natural desire. You put them into a situation where they're seeing these kids day after day after day. So you've got a woman who's 26, 28 years old, and she's constantly around a boy who's 16 years old, and he's starting to look a little more muscular. He's play sports, whatever else, and she starts to develop a fixation on this guy. I don't think it's a power dynamic so much as it's I want to fuck that guy, because that's what it really comes down to. It's not about a power dynamic if that woman is enlisting the aid of other students in the class to be lookouts for her. It's not about power at that point. It's about fucking that guy. It's not about power when there are other teachers that know about the illicit affair that are running cover for her because she wants to fuck the guy. It's not about attention. It's not about power dynamics. It's about, I really want to fuck this dude. That's what it comes down to. And of course, not only do the women who perpetrate this, are they, in this frame of mind that they ought to be able to get away with this, or it's not much of a crime because the kid's enjoying it, right? The guy, look, he's got a heart on. He must want to fuck me. So therefore, it's okay to do this. He's below the age of consent and can't legally give me consent, but it doesn't matter because I'm a hot girl and he's only 16 and I want to show him the ropes kind of thing. It's not about power. It's not about control. It's about sex. And I wish to fucking God that we could just get that through our heads. I am so sick of listening to, sexologists. I'm so fucking sick about these guys. We want to turn it into fucking brain surgery. Okay, well, we got to figure out, is it attention? Is it power? Is it childhood trauma? Is it this? Is it that? No, it's about fucking. That's what it is. It's about proximity. It's the hot guy in the foam cannon party, man. You know, he was hot. I was drunk, and one thing led to another. Everybody wants some. They're available, and it doesn't seem like a crime. You know what else doesn't seem like a crime? We can facilitate it easier now with Instagram and with social media on top of that. Why are we seeing a rise? Why are we seeing by an order of magnitude? Why are we seeing an increase from, 79 in 2024 to 91 last year, and we're at 25 right now? This is not something that is going away. It is unignorable. So unignorable that people on the left and people like Rob Henderson actually are forced to write something about this from behind a paywall because they're cowards. Forced to fucking write about this. So quite honestly, it's like anything but the most obvious answer. It's not brain surgery. It's not calculus. It's let's just go. Let's fuck. That's what it is. The drives of the male and female predators are warped and atypical. Yeah, but so you're going to say that they're every last one of these women are predators. Well, by their actions, I guess you could say that they're predators or not, because later on you'll see what I mean here. Think about the thrill of a predatory man. See, now we're going to switch the genders. Okay, this is about female teachers and students, right, and male students. But think about the thrill of a predator man, a predatory man would feel seeing a naked teenage girl for the first time. The predatory woman feels something similar when she gets undressed in front of a teenage boy and sees the look of shock and confusion and excitement on his face. From each one of these individual cases, it's not like they go and rent a fucking hotel and sprinkle flowers over the fucking bed. They don't get the jacuzzi suite at the top of the fucking, the Wynn. They're meeting together, sometimes in the car, sometimes in the, sometimes at the girl's place, right? Most of these transpire at school. Some of them are on school trips because they happen to be on a sports team or on like some sort of like a band or some shit like that, right? So it's not like the girl's like, here you go, look, wow, I'm getting off on your fucking looks. So you're looking at me. Oh man, I love it when guys like, I love being objectified by a teenage boy. Yeah. Not happening. It's I love it when I hear somebody like give me the shit. Like if I say like, oh yeah, roll. We're talking about tits, right? Yeah. Somebody says like, they want to know the difference. They want to say what's better, like natural tits or like fake tits. And if I say, well, of course, I live in Vegas. I love fake tits. I do. I actually absolutely love fake tits. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not fucking that full of myself. I'm not going to try to lie to you. But when I say that, the natural response, I hear guys say this too, but it's usually women. They go, that's because you're porn brained. Yes. You're porn brain. Well, is it any more porn brain for Rob Henderson to think that they're setting up these clandestine, like meetups and, on the weekend at the, some secret hotel or something like that? It's like, shut up, dude. That's not how that happens. Okay. A predatory woman feels something similar when she gets undressed in front of the female. Okay, this is the level of attention of being the object of desire is worth breaking the law for some people. No, Rob, not people. Some women. Women. Say it with me. Women. Thank you. Male sexuality has relatively low value. Well, there we go. Now we're switching it back to the guy. As the social psychologist Roy Baumeister and his colleagues put it, male sexuality has no exchange value. Female sexuality, though, can be traded for many desirable things, not just money, but also food, drugs, respect, career advancement, forgiveness, reduced punishment for misdeeds, high grades for academic work, and of course, attention. Okay, so yes, we know women are prostitutes. well,
I'm a whore.
there you go. All right, okay. Oh, now we're going to run to, so now attention deserves special mention here. Okay, cool. The male gaze is a sought after form of currency. I thought the male gaze was the devil. I thought the male gaze was just like, that was the most toxically masculine shit a guy could do. Thank you, Gloria Steinem and who else, 70s feminists. I thought the fucking male gaze was something that was toxically masculine and manipulative of men. We're not here for your pleasure. The male gaze is sought after form of currency. Well, at least you got that one right. I do agree with him. Louise Perry, here we go, another Brit, discussing why so many young women produce content for OnlyFans, has agreed that women crave attention the way men crave sex. Okay, don't disagree here. But where are we going with this? Now we're still, see, you notice we're making comparisons to men and women. It's the yin and yang effect, right? It's the women are wonderful effect, right? Well, we can't talk shit. We're about to talk shit about women. We can't talk shit about women without saying, well, men do it too. And it's kind of like a male and female thing, right? So this is what she says. She says, the online super stimulus that really knocks women sideways is not the consumption of sexual content, but the production of it. Women want to be beautiful as fiercely and obsessively as men want to get laid. I'm generalizing, of course, but if you're in any doubt about the strengths of this kind of female desire, look at the size of the cosmetics and fashion industries. Yes. Well, why is that? Because women want to look younger. The store is called Forever 21, not Forever 41. What is it? The cosmetics industry is not a multi-gajillion dollar juggernaut because women want to look older. They want to look younger, more fertile. Well, we're going to talk shit about OnlyFans, and it's okay if we direct the energy that way. But if I say, women want to look younger and more fertile, then suddenly I'm a misogynistic fuck. Vanity, of course, isn't new or surprising. Physical attractiveness has a real effect on how people are treated across many areas of life. Welcome to the red pill, Rob. People who do not meet conventional beauty standards face real disadvantages. They are more often passed over for promotions and tend to have harder time forming friendships. Yes, just ask clavicular. Becoming more attractive can seriously improve a person's life. Yes, just ask clavicular. It makes sense that so many women are focused on improving their appearance. Again, don't see how this has anything to do with the epidemic of women statutorily raping their students. In her essay, Louise points out that clear glass mirrors didn't become widely available until 1830. The 1830s. Before that, most people went their entire lives without really knowing what they look like. They saw only blurry reflections in water or polished surfaces. They learned whether they were attractive mainly from how other people responded to them. They could not study their own faces in detail the way mirrors and photographs now allow. Okay. Again, image-based social media works as a powerful stimulus for women, especially young and attractive ones. Posting or revealing photos brings sexual attention from men and supportive comments from other women. All of this produces a rush of good feelings in women who are wired to care about how they look to others. OnlyFans takes this further. It gives women access to the attention and money of hundreds or thousands, even thousands of men at once. Okay, and most women are not drawn into this trap, just as most men do not become addicted to sex or pornography. The design of platforms like OnlyFans makes it easy for men and women with similar psychological weaknesses to find each other and to feed those weaknesses together. Where are we going with this? Land the fucking plane, Rob. Women are, on average, more responsive to and motivated by social attention as a form of reward, while men are more responsive to visual stimuli. Hence, women producing OnlyFans content and men consuming it. Okay. To be clear, this does not mean that men do not value attention from women or that women do not value the appearance of men. See how it's like, this is it. This is you, Rob. I'm speaking here about the differences and averages, not absolutes. Well, thank God, because Lord knows we couldn't talk about female rapists without that. Anyway, the main point here is that the attention is a powerful motivator. I think the guy's dick is a powerful motivator, as we've already seen. What, 8 inches one, and the other chicks we're talking about. Even Dr. Deborah So was talking about dicks not too long ago too. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's the guy. It's just hot. They're, like I said, most of these women, the majority of them are married. They got sex at home. Or they could, anyways. Bland, vanilla, boring beta boy sex, starfish sex. But then they're around a guy who's 16, some 17, which might be above the age of consent, depending on the state. But it doesn't matter because it's only, it's funny, as somebody was sending me some of these stats on the age of consent in certain states, right? And I'm like, yeah, but there's a difference between consent, because if you have a 15-year-old girl and a 16-year-old boy, that consent, that might be okay, right? Depending on the state, right? But if it's a 16-year-old boy and a 31-year-old woman, that might be statutory rape, right? It's like it's the Romeo and Juliet law, right? Where it's like if it's 2 kids that are doing it together, then that's different than if it's the teacher of the class and the 16-year-old girl, right? Okay, so whether it comes from in the form of thousands of admiring strangers or for highly unusual women, from a particularly astonished teenage boy. All of those, 91 of them last year, highly unusual. And here's the kicker. That's a shot. Here's a chaser, man. It's also worth noting that these female teachers are typically attractive, but rarely at the level of supermodels.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but that's you're just reinforcing the fact that these chicks would want to get with the guy who's a good-looking kid who's 16, 17 years old. A supermodel might overwhelm most grown men who see her naked body and sleep with her. They might overwhelm her. Come to Vegas, Rob. I'm going to overwhelm you. We'll overwhelm you. An ordinarily attractive woman does not produce the same reaction in most adult men. I see. So plain Jane, like the chick who's just sort of like the wallflower, she's a better catch for the 16-year-old guy, right? Because they've never seen. Have you ever seen it? I hate to do this. This is so bad, but I don't know about you, but I'm fairly certain. I don't have the statistics to back up this presumption, but I'm going to say it anyways. I'm pretty sure that by the time a kid gets to be 16, 17, 18 years old, he's seen a naked woman. He has seen it on Instagram. He has seen it on Pornhub. He has seen it on, I don't know, X Hamster or whatever the fuck it is. He has seen a naked woman. Rob, what fucking planet do we live on here? All right. Many of these teachers are, hold on a second. So an ordinarily attractive woman does not produce the same reaction in most adult men. But this is important, she can get that powerful reaction from a 15-year-old boy who has little or no sexual experience. Perhaps, but that 15-year-old boy has most definitely seen a naked woman. He might have touched titties. He might not have grabbed an ass or something like that, but he's probably seen a lot more. Put it this way, at 15 today, I will guarantee you that kid has probably seen more hardcore pornography than I saw when I was 15 years old. Because I can tell you when the first time I saw her, it wasn't 15. But anyways, so many of these female teachers are aroused by being someone's ultimate fantasy. Ultimate. No, I'm pretty sure probably, and whoever their favorite porn star is probably their ultimate fantasy. That is easy to achieve with a naive, inexperienced kid for whom she will be his entire point of reference. I don't think so. Because the same social media that you're saying is motivating the chicks is also the same social media that is informing the boys' sexual education. So, of course, just as most men do not feel intense excitement from preying on teenage girls, most women do not feel intense excitement from being the prime object of desire for teenage boys. Both are distorted, extreme versions of normal male and female psychology. One is rooted in desire for sex. The other is rooted in the desire for attention. Then why aren't they just like, why, if that were the case, you would think if it was just about attention, would it not be a better way to go to cultivate just having a bunch of beta orbiters, or having some of the teenage boys be beta orbiters for their teachers on Instagram? See, I don't think it's just about sex or just about attention. I'm not going to deny that that's not a factor. It could be a factor. But I'm going to say it's the sex. I'm going to say that they definitely want to fuck. I doubt that attractive or semi-attractive female teachers are more likely to be predators than others. Well, that doesn't jive with the pictures, okay? And I use I have this giant collage of the pictures of women. Now, a good portion of these are from like over the course of 2 years. There's a lot of them. Are they all predators? Are they all narcissists? Are they all fucked up in the head? Are they all damaged women? I wrote this article on Substack about 2 months ago, and it's about the get out of jail free card, which is I'm damaged, I'm unhealed. As soon as I'm the reason I'm like this is because I have a lot of guys did a lot of fucked up shit to me in the past. My dad was never there for me. Fill in the blank. Daddy issues, crisis, whatever. The thing is what's funny is we will take that way more seriously from a woman than we will from a guy. Theo Von was just crying. Did you see that? Theo Von was just crying on I forget the name of the show he was on. He was just crying his eyes out. And I hate to be unsympathetic, okay? I get it. Okay, fine, Theo. But you make more money than God, okay? I mean, at what point? Like, how old is he? Like 41?
It's like, yeah, in his 40s or late 30s.
41, something like that. When are you healed? When is it over? Do you get like a diploma on the wall? Do you get a certificate? Oh, 46. Wow. 46 years old. Are you kidding? He's almost fucking Mike Sartain's 48. When do you get over it? Like your life's half over. Well, hopefully it's longer than that, but let's just say your life's half over. This is still a thing. You could be fucking new chicks every fucking day. You have way more. Like, I don't understand. I just don't fucking get it. Like the whole thing it comes back to this culture of therapy. Therapy is the new religion for wokesies. It's definitely the religion for women. When the women tell you, I'm spiritual but not religious. Oh, you are. You're definitely religious. You know where your church is? Your church is the fucking therapist's office. Your pastor is your fucking therapist. That's what it is. And you know what? That's churn marketing. They just want you to keep coming back. You're not healed yet. We'll see you next week. Really? Yeah. You're not healed. Oh, okay. When it comes back.
Makes sense.
And then what she tell her girlfriend? What are the go to the squat rack, not therapy, okay? Your squat rack is your therapy. But when are you healed? When is there is there a finish line? Or is it just this? Because if it's this constant thing over and over again, I'm sorry, it's not therapy. I'm sorry, that is not putting you in that is not like creating a different life for you. I tell my guys in Reignite this all the time. I love my guys in Reignite. They want to be there as a part of this. They're working on themselves to become better. But you know what? I don't want them to stay there forever. I want them to get what they need. And if they leave, they leave. And if they don't, well, fine. I'm just glad that you guys I'm happy to have served, happy to have helped you. But God forbid, it's like, well, I can't leave. I can't leave the group yet, Rolo. Well, why? You get pussy all the time. You got making more money, blah, blah, blah. What else do you need? Well, if you want to be just part of the group and the tribe, want to hang out with the guys, please do. I'm happy to have you. But I'm not going to sit here and say, you need more therapy. You need more healing. You need more red pills. What point? It just boggles the mind. I hate it whenever I hear some chick talking about that. If guys would go to therapy, they'd just be. I've met so many unhealed guys. Did you fuck them? Well, yeah. Social media. Oh wait, hold on a second. Okay, I doubt that attractive or semi-attractive female teachers are more likely to be predators. I guess that would be some. I would guess that some plain or unattractive women teachers would likely want to experience that same rush. They have fewer opportunities, though. Boys do not find them as exciting to look at, so the conditions for a sexual relationship are less likely to develop. Okay. Social media plays a role here too. It makes it far easier for teachers and students to communicate outside of school. This I would definitely agree with. This is certainly a point that I've talked about in the past. Is I don't think that when people want to talk about hypergamy, when people want to talk about like intersexual dynamics, anything that I've talked about in the red pill, anything we talk about where we talk about the gender gap going on right now. I would argue that all of these issues and all of the things that we're sort of currently in the 21st century and 2026 are dealing with right now, they're not new. They're not new. They're not novel. They're not something that just we pulled out of our ass half an hour ago. They've been around for ages, for in some cases centuries. We're just more aware of them now because we have social media to make us aware of them all the fucking time. It's one of those things like it's the curse of Isla Nublar, right? It's the Jurassic Park, right? Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something, right? And so when we have this new technology, and for better or worse, we're not looking at the down end. We're not looking at the consequences of that. Sometimes that means we're going to be way more aware of shit that we probably have been aware of, but it's now in our face 24/7. So yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Now here's the best part. Social media plays a role here too. It makes it far easier for teachers and students to communicate outside of school. When I was a kid, running into your teacher at a store felt strange. They actually leave the school. Now you can go on Instagram and see your teacher in a bikini drinking Coronas on spring break. Correct. Absolutely correct. You are correct in that assumption, Rob. I searched online too, and there does not seem to be a rise in these cases of female teachers sleeping with male students, so this particular pattern remains rare. No, Rob, you are completely, categorically, 100% wrong. Wrong.
No, you're wrong.
You're wrong. There was just 7 cases in February alone that I logged. They are not extremely rare. We wouldn't be talking about them. If it was extremely rare, it wouldn't even bump your needle. There's enough that you're taking notice of it. So cut the shit. Because now we get the downplaying. Well, they're damaged. No, they're not damaged. Actually, there's quite a few of them. Well, it's very, very rare. No, there was 7 in February, and I want to say it's like 5 in March. I think we're up to probably 3 or 4 in April right now. But we're up to 25 in 2026 alone. 91 in 2025, 79 in 2024. It is not rare. It is something that is increasingly more common, and it is only women, and that's why you won't talk about it. And you haven't talked about it until now. Tell people, rub your nose in it. Increasingly rare. Okay, the more typical pattern still involves male teachers preying on female students. Okay, but as I said in the beginning of this rant, there are more female teachers in the school system than there are men. So does it happen with men? I'm not saying it doesn't. It absolutely does. Because the first thing whenever I post one of these things, everyone thinks I'm picking on the women, so we have to find some way to yin and yang it, right? So, well, what about this male teacher over here? Okay, yeah, it's horrible. But I'm focusing on the women here because you guys wanted to say that incels were being radicalized to be the next mass shooters, right? I'm saying your attention is misplaced. Your taxpayers' dollars has been misappropriated. We should be looking at what's going on with with female teachers, because there's way more of them than there are incels that are actually maybe potentially violent. Okay. But these cases are less likely to make the headlines. A mugshot of a pretty woman is more likely to go viral than some guy. Either that, or there are more women doing this now. Let's see. If the offender were a grown male teacher, the public response would be swift and angry. That is true. But when it is a woman, people want to know what's going on. Yes. How can we absolve her of this, which you're about to do? Stories about female teachers and male students spread so widely online precisely because they are unexpected. Well, they're becoming more expected now. They are strange and uncommon, which captures attention. They are not. An attractive 25-year-old woman sleeping with a teenage boy demands an explanation. A 25-year-old man sleeping with a teenage girl, sadly, does not get the same scrutiny and is not nearly as mysterious. Yes, because you know why? It's cut and dried. That guy goes to jail and probably dies in prison as a result of it. How bad of a crime is it? Here we go. Here's your kicker. How bad of a crime is it, really, for a female teacher to sleep with her male student? It should obviously be punished, but probably not as severely as if a grown man sleeps with an underage girl. Why? Tell me why. Why would that be? Because the kid enjoyed it. It doesn't matter. The law says you go to jail for this. The law says you are now on a registered sex offenders list for the rest of your fucking life. Why? Why would that be any different? If that's the case, then you know what we should do? We should completely absolve. Here's what we got to do. I'll agree to this. I'll see you here, and I'm going to say that if a man is exonerated, is proven innocent of false rape allegations by a woman, that woman suffers the same sentence as the guy would have, socially and legally. Ready to do that? No, you're not. You know why? Because it's a man and a woman, not the woman and the man. That's why. Again, the women are wonderful effect. It's not, people keep giving me this all the time. Every time I post one of these things, the first response from anybody is, well, the kid enjoyed. Nice. Nice. Where were these girls? Where were these teachers when I was in school? Boy, I would have liked to have done that. I'm not saying that maybe the kids come out of it and they're happy about it, because here's what they're going to say is that they're going to be bragging about it, right? I'll finish it out here. How bad of a crime is it really for a female teacher to sleep with her male student? It's still a fucking crime. It should be obviously punished, but probably not as severely as if it was a grown man sleeps with an underage girl. Why would that be any different? Riffing on the topic of female teachers sleeping with their male high school students, the comedian Adam Carolla has quipped, if it's not something you brag about to your buddies about and beat off to the memory of, it's not later, it's not a crime. Really. That's where we're going to go. I'll just leave it at that. I think that's the end of it anyways. So I of course, opined a few times on his Substack about this. He's never going to respond to me. So I'm going to go and say it right here. Fuck you. No, I'm glad. Hey, bravo. Thank you for finally being the only one to step up and actually writing an essay about this, but you're a coward for putting it behind a paywall. You're a coward for not putting it up where people can actually respond to you. The guy never wants to have any kind of engagement, never wants to have any kind of conversation about anything. Remember, was I on this show? Oh, I know it was. Yeah, remember when Konstantin Christen was on Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
And he was talking about how I can't find anybody. Where's the people who want to have a real debate and talk about Andrew Wilson? Did you see Andrew Wilson go up against them on trigonometry? There you go. Now you're in the real school, motherfucker. But you don't and what was I kind of went over the top when I was saying this, but I was just we're right here. We're right here, man. You want to talk about this? You want to actually, here's the thing. I don't think these guys believe in their own, I don't think they believe their own bullshit. They'll write something about this just to give lip service to it. And what's funny is I was looking at, because he's got quite a few responses to it, because obviously this is a very popular topic to talk about, but you got to be a subscriber, a paid subscriber to say anything, which I am. But you got to be, you got to be in his Cool Kids Ivory Tower date psych, or Evo psych gatekeepers club, his Mensa meeting. You got to be a part of that team, right? And God forbid you ask the wrong questions. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think really the whole thing has to do with, first of all, women want to they want to fuck the kid. They want to have sex with the kid. And I'll tell you the other reason why they don't want to. Here's why guys like Rob don't want to deal with the questions or answer the questions that are very uncomfortable. First of all, they're unflattering to female nature. God forbid they come up with something, because everything you'll notice in the very first part of the essay is like, he's talking about how, well, men do it too. Men and women, people, this, right? It's always this, yin and yang. If a woman does it and it sounds kind of bad, well, there's probably a guy who does something, the same thing, only he does it worse. So, potato. No, we can talk about women in exclusivity from men. It doesn't have to be yin and yang. You don't have to find some balance in the fucking force, okay? In fact, it's better that we don't. And maybe come back to that later, but still, it's okay, because we do the same thing with men all the fucking time. We always isolate male nature. We don't care about anything that's unflattering. And there are quite a few things that are unflattering about male nature. People will say, well, don't you know that men perpetrate 80% of violent crime? They're also the victims 98% of the time of that violent crime too. Right? But yeah, and you guys are aggressive and terrible and violent. And that we've known this since we were bashing each other's heads in with rocks back in the Pleistocene era. Mike always calls it the Plasticine era. No, that's different. We are. Men are dirty and they want sex all the time. And this is revelatory to you, but there are many, as we know, many unflattering facts and realities and truths about male nature. And we're happy to talk about them in isolation all the fucking time without anybody going, well, men are bad, but, women are kind of bad too. That never happens. But when you start talking even slightly, or you even start aiming the conversation over to, well, maybe there's something unflattering about women's nature. They really want, it's not about sex. It's about attention. They want validation. They want to feel something personal. They want something that's going to be psychologically validating and satisfying to the soul. And so therefore they're not getting it with their beta chump husband. So they got to go with this. And it's not about the sex. It's about the attention. No, it's about the fucking sex. They wouldn't be having the other students, running lookout down the hall to see if the janitor's coming or somebody else. Well, they're fucking that kid. That would not be happening if it was just about fucking attention. But I'm going to tell you this, and I'll go there, but Rob and the rest, and not just Rob, because I'm picking on him now because he's obviously the target, but that's the reason it's not, I'm not saying attention is not a part of it. I'm sure it is probably in the beginning, but they're still fucking these guys. They're still having sex with these guys. And by the way, if that kid impregnates that teacher at 15 years old, guess who's paying child support for the rest of his life? Well, till the kid's 18 for sure, but probably going to be involved with that woman for the rest of his life. The kid. Where was that in the essay? There's nothing about that in the essay whatsoever. Guess who's been talking about that for forever? Yes. Where? Nowhere. And they don't want to touch this stuff. And again, this is really kind of like a really good illustration of how these guys just simply don't want to touch. They'll give us so much shit. They will give us so much shit about those Red Pill guys are misogynists. They just want you to go to their academy. Meanwhile, he's like teaching at Peterson Academy. They're just trying to filch shekels out of their back. These poor, underserved, ignorant male incel waifs. They don't know any better. And, but they'll never lean over into anything that is even like remotely unflattering about the feminine. So, but when the manosphere, when we're just red pill asks the questions that they don't want to answer, they're just uncomfortable questions that they don't want to answer. So when we ask those questions, they ignore that, but they can't ignore the epidemic. So they have to say something about it. And what's the first thing they do? They try to downplay it and they try to whitewash it and they try to sweep. They try to sweep it under the rug, right? And so, but is it really a crime? Yes, it is a crime according to California state law, or according to federal law in some cases. Yes, it is a crime. Yes, you go to jail for that. And you know who should also be going for jail to jail is the accomplices that were running Lookout, who already knew, the girls who were on the teaching staff who knew about it. They should be going to jail too, Rob. Yes, it's a crime. And until we go and we decide that the age of consent is now 12 years old, like, are we going to do, like, should that be where we go with this? Should we say, you know what? Okay, you're right. We need to do something here. We're going to lower the age of consent only for boys to what? 13? 12 in the case of that one chick who's the groomer. So maybe we should just let her off the hook because she groomed this kid from the time he was 12 until he was like 18, right? No, should we just do that? Should we have a separate standard of justice for women? Okay, if that's the case, and that's what he's implying here, if that's the case, then should we then lower the age of consent for boys only to 12 years old? Because that's the lowest I could go for some of these cases, right? I mean, maybe there's some that go below that. You're probably not going to get that. But so 12, is that okay? So if a boy is like prepubescent, teenage boy, or not even teenage, 12-year-old kid, it's okay if it's a teacher. And okay. And then here's the other thing. Is it okay with the guy is 20 or the chick is 24? Or what if she's 34? Should that be, what 12-year-old wants to get with a 34? Like, is that okay? Like, we need to really get down to the nuts and bolts here, because that's what you're suggesting. And you're going to say that there should literally, that's what they're suggesting, is that there should be a separate standard of justice for males and females in this instance. No, I strongly disagree. I think and I also think that the maximum penalty for men and women should be inflicted no matter what. I don't know how to do this because I'm just some schmuck on the internet with a mic, but I don't know how to initiate law in a state of Nevada or California or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I would love to put something on the ballot, on the docket, saying here's what we ought to do, everybody in this state. Whatever the age of consent is, we'll just stick with that, right? Here's what we ought to do: is if a female teacher or a male teacher is caught or convicted, whatever, of sexual misconduct, statutory grape with an underage student, male or female, also, the maximum penalty has to be applied. I'm sure that there are crimes where that is the case, that if there is something that is really, really super heinous crime, that the maximum sentence has to be given. Can we do that with that case? I would love to be able to write that legislature. And you know what would happen? It would get shot down immediately. It would be shot down. Teachers auxiliaries would come out. The teachers themselves would vote it down. They would say, no. We want our 16-year-old boys. It would never see the light of day, but I would love to do it just as a social experiment, just to try it out, to see if it would work. Right. So there's the case. I think that here. So what do I think? Here's what I said this last year. I'll say this again. You're putting 24 to 44-year-old women in close proximity with boys who are 16 years old. I think that there is this sort of social contrivance, social understanding, right? That for a woman, a female teacher, to get with a 16-year-old, I'm only using 16 as sort of the median, right? But 15, 16-year-old boy, that it's not really a crime. It's really okay to do that, which is exactly what Rob suggests at the end of the essay, for fuck's sake, right? That is the problem. It's exactly what he ended the essay with, because that's what the women think. Well, I'm fucking this kid, but he really likes it, and I'm sending him nudes, and it's really thrilling, and I'm having the time of my life because he's just more excited. This kid is way more. He doesn't want anything except sex, right? Clearly, he doesn't have money, or he doesn't have money, and he doesn't have very much game, right? He's only got, maybe he's got some muscles. I don't think they were going to, I'm pretty sure from my experience that the women who are preying upon the 14, 15, 16-year-old boys, those guys are not fat asses. They're not fat kids. They are in shape, athletic guys. They are good looking guys. That's who they're getting with. They're not going with the fat kids. Okay. And even statistically, I would have to look that up to give you the actual numbers for that. I would have to go like case by case to figure out like what the kids actually, what the victims actually look like. Right. But the social stigma, whatever you want to call it, the social climate is such that, and you can see this on, where we kind of have this, I'm going to say this atmosphere, this kind of like attitude that it's okay for an older woman to get with a younger man. We see this in what's that new dating show that's about like love at any age. Is that what it's called?
I think so.
Is that on Netflix? And they don't tell each other what their ages are until they've like fucked or something. I don't know. until they're like on their second or third date. Love at any age. Hey, there it is. Love at any age show. Age of Attraction. That's what it is. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so Age of Attraction on Netflix. And God damn it. What is it with Netflix and these shows these days? Man? Temptation Island, and now I got to deal with this shit. And yes, I watched Temptation Island. I am hanging my head in disgust. I'm sorry. I hated every minute of it. No, I didn't. I watched it because Maya was on it, and I just want to see my girl. But anyways, yeah. So now that's a thing, and now what's was the Atlantic? I forget what New York Times. One of these, one major article was written about how younger men are seeking out older women right now, and how it's okay, right? So we're talking about adults in this case, right? So if you got a 25-year-old guy and he's getting with a 35, 38-year-old woman, oh, it's older, it's scandalous, but they want a woman with more sexual experience. They want a woman who's got moxie, or whatever the fuck they're calling it. And so we've got these articles, a major article recently, I want to say it's the New York Times, talking about how young men want to get with older women. And then you got Age of Attraction, right? So if that's the case, now it's a small step from Age of Attraction and New York Times articles to, well, I'm 24 and he's 16, but he's really enjoying it. He'll never rat me out because I'm getting this pussy, right? And it's not that, like, I think Rob's onto something in a certain sense when he's saying, a lot of these women are like, they're not beauty queens, but they're not unattractive. You would do that. I should go run through these and like say would or wouldn't, like, which chick would you do and which wouldn't you? You probably do more than half of them. They're not unattractive. They're not like, they're not working at Sapphire or anything like that, but like they're not unattractive. They're thin. Most of them are thin. Most of them are. So here's the. I should have said this in the beginning. Here's the profile. If you were a criminal profiler, and you should be in this case because they are criminals. If you're a criminal profiler, the female teacher predator, for lack of a better term, is a very easy profile to figure out. I can do it. You can do it too. Usually, they're anywhere between the ages of 24 and 44 years old. A lot of them are blonde for some reason. They tend to be thin. Not very many of them are fat. Some of them are kind of pushing like lunchroom lady look, I guess. But some of them, but then very few of them are black, although there are a handful that are. There's like of the ones I logged last year and for 91, I think there was probably like 4 black women who were part of that. Okay. There were some Latinas. There's a few brunettes, but by and large, they were mostly they're mostly blondes. And I want to say some of them were like the way that they would facilitate having sex with the kid was they start texting, right? And they would start, then it would start sending nudes, and the kid would send a dick pic back, or the kid would like be cool about it. But the thing is like, women are stupid because they're like, oh, I'm going to send him nudes, right? What's a 16-year-old boy going to do? First thing he's going to do, right? You know,
to the group chat.
and I know exactly where those are going. Please don't show these to anybody else. Don't worry, I would never
Screenshot it on another
yes,
phone.
I know, it's this fucking lock screen. Yeah, like, I mean, ladies, really? Yeah. So you gotta make it. It's got to be Snapchat. You got to like make it disappear immediately. But so yeah, so that's a profile, and like I said, they're between 24 and 44 years old. Most of them are married. And as I said, their marriages, from what I was able to tell from a vast majority of them, they're married to guys that will stick with them even after the affair, even after the crime, even after they're going to jail. Like they're going and serving time in prison.
Past conviction.
Yes. They still, don't worry, baby. I'll be here when you come on the other side when you get out. All right. My jailbird wife. A good many of them were just simply fired, right? Yep. Some of them weren't, though. Some of them would just went on suspension, and then they could teach again, which is crazy. Yeah. Because if it were a male teacher who sent an inappropriate text, that would be the end of your career. You know, all that time you spent getting that degree and all those, student loans is gone to hell. So then there is I'm trying to think of the other ones. Like, this is a good, actually, the reason I chose this as a thumbnail today was because that's one of them right there. That chick right there. She's doable. I'd bang that. Would. And this chick was, I forget, it's on the actual title of the thing here. Let me see if I can pull this up real fast. This is McKenna Kindred. She had a depraved. That's what it's like. It depends on like if you go to like the Daily Mail or something like that. They always use this raunchy, depraved, degenerate. Like they'll throw those in there. McKenna Kindred had a depraved 3.5 hour sex marathon with her underage student, according to the new report. That's her. So if you look at these every one of these chicks in the background here, I probably should have made it a little more clear. All those, that's the very rare. Those are the very rare ones, Rob. All that, and there's more, by the way. That's all I could fit on the screen. Yes, the very rare, so rare, uncommonly rare. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah. Oh, do I have supers? I got supers. Let me jump on supers real quick. There you go. What do you got? Thanks for that $5. By the way, I will do the rest of the show with no beanie on. If you can come up with $1,000 in super chats, I'll be happy to do it. Here's $5 of it. How sure are you of the UK hating the red pill rather than them being scared of controlled male organization and force? Well, that's what it really boils down to, isn't it? It's organization. Did you see the Jimmy Carr thing? Oh, I'll show it. I have it here. Jimmy Carr went on. He was doing his stand-up show, and he was just talking about how the cure to the manosphere is to get 16-year-old boys to go to the pub and get them all drinking. Maybe I should just show that. I think I got it somewhere in here. Let's see if I can find that. Yeah, we should all go to the pub and drink. Where did I put it? Oh, maybe I put it over here. Hang on a sec. Did I put an access? There it is. Oh, maybe it's not in that one. Anyway. So Jimmy Carr was talking about how we need to cure to swear our kids off of Andrew Tate. We need to put our kids in. Where'd it go? Podcast. Okay. Oh, damn it. I thought I had it here. Not that one. Well, damn, I knew I had it. So is it in here? Oh, is this?
What do I think of Manosphere? What, the Louis Theroux documentary? Well, I think it's very good that he made that. I think it's very interesting that they're mainstreaming that argument, because you go, well, those guys are talking to young men. I don't like what they're saying to young men, but I like the fact that they're talking to young men.
Okay. Why don't you like what they're saying? Like, what is, like, give me particular. You know, it's funny to say it's always ambiguous. There's always this ambiguity that goes to all this. I don't like what they're saying. Such as? What's wrong with what they're saying? Why is that bad? No, it's not. They only know that they're saying something bad, and we need some people to say something good. There has to be something that goes along with that.
You have to respect there is some, the intent there, the content's terrible, but the intent of talking to young men that are lost.
Okay, again, what is the content that is so fucking terrible? What? Tell me. Clearly, you have an opinion on this that you've developed to the point where you're going to put it into to your comedy bit. What is it? Why are they bad? So what's wrong with them?
Is valuable, but we just need better voices talking to young men.
Such as who?
We can't marginalize them.
Who?
Well, I think there's a lot of talk about toxic masculinity, and no one talks about the positives. You could be a king, or you could be a tyrant. You could be a warrior, or you could be a sadist. You could be an agent of magical transformation, or you could be a manipulator.
Okay, so this is where he's stealing, was it warrior, king, warrior, lover, magician, okay? Dude, that book is like the fucking secret. Like, really? So this is your model for math? You know, we should probably go throw David Dita in there, like, you know, the Way of the Superior. Why don't you throw Way of the Superior Man in there as well, right? And The Secret, and trying to think, you know, the power of law of attraction. Why don't we throw that in there too? Or Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus.
You could be a lover, or you could be an addict. There's a positive side to masculinity, and we're not talking about that. We need to.
Okay, what is the positive side then? You could be a warrior, you could be a tyrant, you could be this, you could be that. You're basically pulling buzzwords out of that book, out of warrior, king, warrior, lover, magician, whatever, magician, lover, whatever the fuck it is, right? Oh, these are all this is all that exists for men and conventional and traditional masculinity. No, it's a lot more than that, but you're a chump.
We need to empower young men.
How?
I'm pro gang, pro drinking, pro gambling. Let me talk you round. Okay, Okay, it sounds like, okay, gangs are really fucking good ideas. They get some bad press because some of them do shoot people and deal drugs. But what I mean by a gang is, where should all men be? I'll tell you, all men should be with other men. Men check other men. Guys keep other guys in line.
Okay, now that's what I wanted you guys to see. Okay, so that he's going to talk about the pub. I talked about this last week, so I don't want to rehash this shit. But that's what they're worried about. That is what the UK is worried about. They're worried about guys getting together, and for any other reason than to check other guys, than to police the thoughts of other guys. That would be the only reason you would ever want 16-year-old guys in a club, right? It's the only reason men are allowed to gather together is so that other men can tell those guys that correct their wrong think. Because women don't want to be bothered with it. No, we're tired, guys. Women, we're tired of having to, teach you over and over again. And you know what? Some sneaky fucker, some male feminist is going to go, you know what? They're right. We should get a group of guys together and make sure that we can school these other guys and make sure they think the right thing. You know what that's called? Jimmy Carr? That's called the UK school system right now. That's exactly what they're doing. Their group happens to be whatever the misogyny re-education gang in the UK, and whatever school group you happen to be in, because that's exactly what they do. Correct your wrong think. God forbid you would ask questions like, okay, what's positive masculinity? What's toxic masculinity? I say there's no such thing as either, but maybe I'm an idiot. Tell me, explain to me why. They don't even want you to have that conversation, because even asking questions like that is exactly the kind of wrong think they don't want you to engage in. They don't. You're. What I'm getting mostly, Kyle. What I'm getting mostly out of this male loneliness epidemic and what is it? The sexlessness epidemic of guys and the manosphere documentary in general. And I'm trying to think what else. What else are guys complaining about? Loneliness. Sexlessness, no, we can't find a real man-ish, whatever that. The thing I'm getting the most out of this is women are annoyed. They're simply annoyed with this. They don't care. They don't care that men are lonely. They don't care that you're sexless. They don't care. Women don't care about men's struggles. When are you dumb fucks going to get that through your head? All these guys, Jimmy Carr, the gentle manosphere. All you guys who want to have this alternative to the manosphere, guess what you're going to encounter? All of the same shit that everybody in the manosphere has been dealing with for the last 26 years. Welcome to the party, motherfucker. Welcome to the party, pal. Yes. First time, because they're going to throw the same shit. They're going to sling the same shit at you. You just got a different name. And eventually, you guys will come around. Eventually, everybody will turn. Everybody takes the red pill. Everybody everybody falls on their first jump. Everybody takes the red pill at some point. And I'm seeing this more and more often. With every single time I see, what is it? Call Her Daddy, and whoever is being interviewed, the point they're making is some point I or Ryan Stone or fucking Rich Cooper or anybody else in the manosphere. I mean, all the old guys, all the OGs have made since 2007. We've been saying this shit forever. But if Hillary Duff says it on Call Her Daddy, then it's groundbreaking and courageous and brave. What was the other chick? Nikki Glaser. Nikki Glaser was on, and what did she say? She said, "I like it when my man fucks other chicks. I'm okay with it. It turns me on to know that my man is desired by other women." And yes, I know I have seen pictures of her husband. He's weesh as fuck. I get it, but the point still remains, right? It's okay when Nikki Glaser says it. It's not okay when Justin Waller says it or his wife says it on Justin Thoreau's thing. It's all how it's delivered to you. I can give you this information on a silver platter, or I can give you this information on a dirty garbage can lid. Right? That's the manosphere, and this is fucking Call Her Daddy. It's the same fucking food, okay? It's just delivered to you differently. You don't like the garbage can lid? Okay, you like the silver platter. There you go. Same fucking thing. But nobody wants to have that conversation because they're too fucking scared. And what are they scared of? They're scared of guys getting together. So yes, you are correct. That is absolutely 100% right. How sure are you of the Red Pill Control Organization? Yes, I'm definitely sure, because even Jimmy Carr is confirming it for me. Evil psychologists would stutter if they were asked, how is this mate switching? Thank you for bringing that up, because that was going to be my ending for today's lecture. Okay. You go to the head of the class, my friend. You get A+ for you, my friend.
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what I was gonna.
Hello there, children. How's it going?
Okay. That's where I was gonna go with this. Is that the evil psychologists, they would say when they asked about mate switching hypothesis. That's another thing. Female teachers getting with their underage students. That completely. And I said this when it happened. That completely destroys, absolutely, utterly, irrevocably destroys mate switching hypothesis. Okay, sorry, Dr. David Buss, but that pretty much puts the last nail in the coffin in that theory. Now, what is mate switching hypothesis, you ask? Well, funny you should ask, because I wrote a very long essay about that, and I made it free because I wanted everybody to know just how fucking wrong they were. So mate switching hypothesis was introduced by Dr. David Buss in Men Behaving Badly, his book, which was basically his primer for his dating site. Probably the worst book he's ever written. Now, he's written some very good books. This one of them. It was lip service. It was pandering to the female imperative is what it was. But part of that is, well, we can't have, but it's unflattering if we follow dual mating strategy, which is basically hypergamy, which is alpha fucks beta bucks, right? It's long-term. That's the dualness of it, right? They want the best genetic. Women's mating strategy is they want the best genetic short-term sexual side of things, some material. They want to fuck the bad boy. They want to fuck the alpha, and then they still need provisioning, protection, and parental investment. Great if you can find them in one guy, but unlikely, and so therefore there's a dual mating strategy that goes between the two of them. Okay, so that's it in a very stupid, brief, simplistic nutshell. Okay, it is the most obvious and most empirically, like observably provable, robust hypothesis that has ever been presented to mankind. Okay. But it's very unflattering to female nature. Remember what I said is if I say women's mating strategy is dual mating strategy, that sounds pretty unflattering. So we've got to find some sort of male counter for it because it's yin and yang, right? We can't let that go. We can't let that crime go unanswered. So what they do is they say, well, it doesn't look like dual mating strategy is really a thing. It looks like a mate switching strategy is really where women are at. And so what that proposed was that, well, women actually, hypergamy is a thing, but it's only the beta buck side of it. And the only reason women would cheat is to get a guy who's a higher social status, makes more money, and he's just a better badass. He's making more money. He's a higher value guy. So she goes from a lower value guy, well, relatively lower value guy, to a higher value guy. And that's what motivates her to fuck, because it sounds prudent, doesn't it? She's just making a good business decision. She's just making a good decision. She's investing in the security for the rest of her life and her children and everything. So this guy's okay, but he's not exciting and he doesn't make a lot of money. I'm going to divorce him and get with Jeff Bezos. I'm going to get with the guy who's above him in social stature. That was great until Steve Harvey's wife decided that she wanted to cheat on him with their personal chef and their bodyguard and the bodyguard. Mm-hmm. Neither of which had anything like the money or the status of Steve Harvey. Okay, so were that true, I would say that shows a little some chinks in the armor there, right? I don't think that's as robust as the dual mating strategy. Over the course of probably 6-8 months, even, and I got to give him credit. Even Murphy said there's really not much. There's not much to mate switching hypothesis. Dual mating strategy is probably the one. He was I forget what the study that his group did, but I think it was like. I know what it was. It was I think they polled women and men and women who had extramarital affairs, and the thing they were looking for was the guy better looking and better in bed, and across the board, that was the reason why they were cheating. So pretty much dual mating strategy and not that, right? Well, you can also say the same thing about hybristophilia, right? Hybristophilia is the tendency for women to want, and not saying every woman, but only women are hybristophiles, meaning that these are women who will be sexually attracted and fall in love and become obsessed and infatuated with guys who are, known murderers, convicted murderers, rapists, Islamic warlords, terrorists, gang members. Insert the criminal activity of your choice here. It's not just incarcerated. People think that hybristophilia is only limited to like Luigi in prison. You're just talking about Luigi. No, I'm talking about Anders Breivik. I'm talking about Dahmer. I'm talking about Richard Ramirez. I'm talking about Ted Bundy. I'm talking about Nicholas Cruz. I'm talking about even was it James Holmes, who was the Aspen, Colorado theater shooter? If you've seen James Holmes, there's no way James Holmes was getting pussy when he was just James Holmes. But you put him in prison after that shooting, and suddenly he has a teenage fan club. It's hybristophilia. Hybristophilia puts another nail in the coffin of mate switching hypothesis. And then finally, we have our teachers and our underage students. There is no way that 16-year-old boy represents anything like a bump in status for that teacher, or in any way is making any kind of money, anyway has anything other than he's hot and he wants to fuck. And she wants to fuck him. And they happen to be in close proximity over and over and over again. Got it? Bam. Goodbye. by mate switching hypothesis. And you know what? People keep asking me for a definition of mate switching hypothesis, and I have to keep giving you what I just the detailing it for you, just like I did. And you know why I have to do that? Because it's like a fart in the fucking wind. Gone. And what's in its place? Assortative mating strategy or assortative mating. Like that took place of it because they couldn't say, well, you know, let's sweep that under the carpet. You know, we were kind of wrong about the mate switching hypothesis. So, hey, let's bring in assortative mating because we're never going to ever accept that dual mating strategy is it because it's unflattering of female nature. They will never accept that. And guess what? The female teacher, student, rapists also countervene assortative mating. Sorry. Let's go back to dual mating strategy. All we have to do is look, it's right here in front of you. Right here. Right in front of your fucking nose. If you just the curve this high, you guys can fucking do it. Right? They won't accept it. They can't accept it because it would be accepting a gynocentric social order. It will be accepting of the fact that they have to actually understand that there are some pretty unflattering aspects of female nature. I'm red pill. I'm in the manosphere. I don't have any compunctions about that. I don't have to worry about that because I ain't getting paid for this shit anyway. We're doing this setup, because it's a labor of love. So we don't have to worry about shit like that. So we'll be more than happy to talk to anybody who wants to. And the door's open. It's open right now. You can come in right now. Come to the studio. I'll be happy to. You can sit across the table from me, and I'll be happy to talk to you. I'll be happy to entertain any kind of debate you might have about anything I've discussed about dual mating strategy, assortative mating, or mate switching hypothesis, which is you don't even know what it is anymore. Happy to. Matt Walsh, Knowles, Michael Knowles, all the rest of you guys who want to come in and talk about social issues you want to talk about. I loved watching Andrew Wilson dismantle Konstantin Christen, right? Absolutely dismantled him. And he got what he asked for. He wanted, where can I find him? Where's a guy who's actually going to, push back? Hey, you got him. And you are he fought you to a standstill. Bravo, man. I got to give Andrew Wilson props, man. There's certain things I'm going to disagree with Andrew, and he's going to disagree with me. But I tell you right now, that was fucking yeoman's work. Constantine, the thing is here's the problem. Why? And I mentioned this because remember when he was on Joe Rogan, he's saying I can't find any decent opponents. Then he has Andrew Wilson. But the thing is that once you have that decent opponent, it ruins your narrative. And actually, that's who I stole that line from, by the way, from Andrew. They won't have you on their shows because you will ruin the narrative of their show. Same thing happened with Mike Sartain when he went on, what's his name? Ryan Panetta. He went on Ryan Panetta's show. They got way more than they bargained for with Mike, and Mike was very polite about the whole thing. I had never seen Mike flustered, and he didn't get flustered then, but I could see he was just kind of like, okay, this is in private, right? Mike's like, I've never been more pissed off in my life from an interview. I'm like, yeah. I said, well, you held it in pretty well. You did really good with that, and that's the kind of content we need. The Ryan Panetta and that guy Brian, the bald-headed guy, versus Mike Sartain, or the Konstantin Christen, whatever the fuck his last name, versus Andrew Wilson. We need more content like that. That's productive. That is substantive. That will get shit done. None of this talking shit. None of this, oh, the manospheres, I know these guys are grifters, blah, blah, blah. Then come in here and talk to me. Seriously, come in here and let's have a discussion about it. You felt passionate enough about it. You felt convicted enough to go and make a video about it or talk about it in a TED Talk or whatever the fuck you're doing, and then put it on as a short or a reel or something like that on YouTube or Instagram. You felt passionate enough to do that. One would think you can make short work of me or Andrew Wilson or Mike Sartain or anybody who's got their fucking ass in their britches. Ryan Stone. I keep signing Ryan up for debates, and he's like, wait a minute. Or if Aaron Clary would fucking mop the floor with you, especially when it comes to economics and it comes to social economics, sexual economics. He would kill you. because he knows his numbers. He's a consummate statistic. He is dangerously a statistician. Dangerously a statistician. So yeah. Let's see. It's always the other content creators not allowing you to give them facts. It never goes with their narrative. Keep up the good work, the great work of truth. You know what the best line of that? When Ryan Panetta was on with those guys, the best line that Mike said was like, he's like, "You're not arguing with me.
Yeah.
You're arguing with the stats or the statistics of the data." I was like, it's genius. I'm using that because it's true. It's like, well, I just work here, man.
Removes that personal bias.
Yes, he's like, I'm just telling you what's going on. You guys don't like. He was what was it? The bald headed guy was talking about how he thinks that he could just easily go and find these. He could find these girls just. He would go out and he would do a man on the street interview of like guys or girls or something like that, and he was talking about what was it? The attractiveness. Like, do you find X amount of people attractive? And he's like, you don't need me to do that. He says, go do it yourself. And then I would love to see, and then let me know what your results were, because I already know what they're going to be. What if modern education theory gives them permission? Okay. A school headmaster once said that the purpose of education is to learn how to develop social relationships, not reading, writing, or math. I don't think the purpose of education is the only purpose of education is to learn how to develop social relationships. That is definitely part of it, but you need to learn the fucking material. I think that's probably, if that's the only imperative for education, I can't think of a more wokesy narrative than that. Then we'll talk about how was it recent studies show that was high school kids or college entry kids, they can't read. They only know basic math, right? Because they got passed through. Well, why is that? Well, because they were being taught how to work with social relationships. Yeah. Well, clearly, because that's all you're focusing on, and not actually the fucking material. And it's how to feel good about it, how to be good citizens, how to say the right things, how not to offend people. I think that's another reason why they don't want men gathering, because they might come up with something offensive. Men might actually get together and come up with an idea where they would actually take the authority and the power back, because they might realize that basically the structure, the foundation, the currency of society depends on violent men. I think was it George Orwell? I think it was George Orwell said something like, I'm going to butcher this quote, but it was like, you sleep safely at night, you sleep soundly at night because violent violent men are out watching out for you right now. Like, are pretty much there to protect you. So you have the life you have right now because there are people there somewhere ready to protect and enforce the rights that you keep talking about all the time. Well, guess what? What if those men decide, you know what? What if Atlas shrugs? what if they say, you know what? This juice ain't worth the squeeze. And I don't mean chicks. I mean this whole rigged society, this whole rigged thing. I think these women may have developmental issues, like they are mentally still in high school. Very true. I think that probably would fit the criminal profile. Like I said, we're going to make a criminal profile of the teacher rapists. That would definitely be included. I think that there is some making up for missing out. Now, if you know that, what is that? That is actually is a chapter I wrote, and I want to say it's in my second book. It's in my second it's either that or it's in Positive Masculinity, but there's a chapter in this called Making Up for Missing Out, because I have people who are asking me about, well, what about if a woman gets married early? Does she have a hoe phase? She's going through the hoe phase, but she can't actually capitalize on it. She can't do anything about it, right? So if you this is one of the dangers that I've always kind of brought up whenever I listen to like someone like, Charlie Kirk or some of these like, neocon or, evangelical tradcons will say, you should get married early. And it doesn't matter if you don't have any money and it doesn't have lots of babies. Just get married and have lots of babies immediately, right? Well, guys are like, fuck yeah. But women end up going from like, say, 19 until they get to be about 30 years old. They're still technically going through their hoe phase. but they're doing it vicariously through their sisters and their girlfriends and Instagram and social media, watching their friends, or they're watching Temptation Island, or they're watching The Bachelor, right? They're still getting that kind of, they're getting it sort of the substitute, the artificial version of it. And then one of the reasons, I mean, this is statistically accurate, is that couples that marry earlier end up divorcing. There's a higher rate of divorce for couples that marry when they're like 19, 20 right now. Now, I'm not advocating that you get married then or are married later. This is not an endorsement. I'm just I'm telling you you're not arguing against me. You're arguing against the facts, right? Couples who get married earlier tend to be divorced by about 30 years old. And then, so what happens after that? Well, then comes the making up for missing out part. Okay. And that's kind of like what I would say is, because you got to remember that a lot of the women that are involved in these incidences are married, and married early, because you're looking at women who are 24, 25 years old. Most of them are married and they're young. They look like that chick in the thumbnail here, right? They look like this girl. This girl, like she looked 20, 21 maybe? Pretty young, right? And this, I mean, she was after it, man. She was, setting things up. You gotta remember that. Here's the thing. Here's one of the reasons why I don't think it's just about attention. The level of logistics involved in making the fucking happen is not motivated by attention. It's motivated by, I want to fuck this guy. That's what it's about. It's about this buildup. So in most of the cases here, you've got a woman and you got the kid, the 16-year-old boy, and they're on Instagram, or they're chatting, whatever they're using. I don't know, however they're communicating, right? And that's the buildup. That's the foreplay, right? It's like, I'm going to send you nudes. Oh yeah, just getting out of the shower, thinking about you, right? There's this back and forth that keeps going on between the two of them. And so it's this buildup and buildup and buildup. Well, it's not the kid who has to organize or orchestrate the meetup, the actual sex. It's the woman that has to do that. And like I said, in some cases, it's the woman going into the, having sex in the janitor's closet, right? Or having it in the classroom, or after hours, or, meeting up, for extracurricular activities, literally. But it's the woman who has to orchestrate it. It's not the kid. But the kid doesn't have the logistical power to do it. It doesn't have the money to do it. It doesn't have the, maybe it doesn't, maybe he has a car, maybe he doesn't. But the thing is she has more of an easier facility to make the logistics happen than he does. So that's not attention. That's sex. She wants to make that happen. Because if it was just about attention, she'd be okay with just the foreplay going back and forth all the time, which is still inappropriate, but it's not a crime. Not much of a crime anyways. But once the sex happens, guess what? Now you're guilty of statutory rape. But yeah, you probably would have developmental issues. Yeah, I think a lot of them, like I have this really great essay, and I don't think it's in any book, but it's called the adolescent social skill set. And I wrote this about, what was that? Lolo Jones. Remember Lolo Jones? Lolo Jones, who turned 40 and then had her eggs frozen because the Lord hadn't dropped a husband on her doorstep yet. Yeah, she's still a virgin. But the reason I wrote that, I wasn't coming down on Lolo or for her decisions to hold herself to marriage. I didn't care about that. But it stems from an adolescent social skill set, right? So you have women who they usually, what happens, and this is, you can look this up psychologically, sociologically. What happens is when you are in say their middle school years, you have a certain social skill set that how you interact with your peers, like other kids. You're 9 years old, 12 years old, whatever. You know how to deal with them, right? Then as you get older, when you get into 14, 16, 18 years old, that's adolescent social skill set, right? And then when you get older, you're supposed to develop an adult social skill set, because now there's different responsibilities. There's different ways of dealing with people, whether it's work or it's wherever you are, your family, or you're with women, men, whatever it is. All of that is an adult social skill set. Well, what happens, I think anyways, is there's a certain percentage of people who never develop past the adolescent social skill set. So another reason why getting married at 19 is your social skill set is essentially your adolescent social skill set. So your social skill set is locked, goes into cryogenic freeze when you're 19 and you get married, because now you're mom and now you're playing house and now you have a husband and now you have a dog and you have all these, these domestic responsibilities. Maybe you have a job, whatever it is. The thing is you're not developing the skills, anything past what it took for you to get married at 19, right? Until you get divorced at 30, 32 or something like that. And guess what? Now those women have to develop a new skill set, but they're still working from their adolescent social skill set. So you might have a point there. A lot of the women don't develop. If you're married early and you're 24 and you're one of these teachers, yes, you're probably, and you're interacting with students that only operate with an adolescent social skill set, right? So yes, there probably is developmental issues. But the thing is that woman can relate to that kid because she never matured past the adolescent social skill set. That's why. Bad relationships, defense, Elizabeth Holmes. Defense, Elizabeth Holmes. Elizabeth Holmes, who was it? She was the chick who's the fake blood company. Yeah. That Forbes and Inc. and everybody else put on the cover of your fucking magazine. You guys were chumps. Absolute chumps. It turns out it's a complete fraud. God, what was the name of her company? I don't remember the name. Do you think this has been around for decades, just that it's now women acting on it more and getting caught? Are these boys alpha? Thoughts? Okay. I think it is a combination. I think it was probably there, but within the context of, like, first of all, there's more female teachers now than before. Okay. So when I was going to high school in the mid 80s, I had a good balance of male to female teachers. Now it's more likely that you're going to have nothing but female teachers, unless you have like a shop class or you have a math or a coach might be male. Okay. Because men simply don't teach anymore. So there is that. There's also, so you got to take the sort of the population equation involved in that. And then, so was it always around? I think maybe the impetus was, but I don't think women could act on it. Now they can. Now it's almost like there's permission to do so. It's like sexual revolution, like everything. Oh, hey, anything goes. I think there's more of an atmosphere that even if they got caught, it still wouldn't be that bad. And probably for a lot of the women early on, was it Letourneau chick, married Kate Letourneau? Yeah, something like that. Yeah. That even if you got caught, it really wouldn't be all that bad. Although now it is kind of starting to turn like they're actually convicting these women and sending them to jail, because it is a crime, right? And until you change the law, I mean, literally, you've got Rob Henderson saying, we need to change the law. There needs to be literally advocating for a separate standard of justice. That's where you're at, Rob. A separate standard of justice. Well, if that's the case, then why can we just make other separate standards of justice for other things, for just adult men and adult women too, on top of that? Things that we don't think should be a crime for women and should be a crime for men. Can we do that? No, we can't, because we live in a society that is based on a unitary form of government, or unitary form of law, so unitary form of justice, or at least ostensibly. We already know that it's not, because women get far more lenient prison sentences than men do for the same crime, but which is also a form of, separate standard of justice once again, right? But that's essentially what he's advocating for. But yeah, I would say so. Are these boys alphas? I would have to go case by case. I think they're alphas in the sense that the women involved think they are. And so the other thing I should add is and man, people really hate it when I bring this up, because I'm going to use Will Smith as recently as an example here. When that woman, when your wife, when your woman, whoever, fucks the other guy and is fucking that guy because he's hot, because he's got six-pack abs, because he's got whatever. He's a better looking dude, right? He's better in bed. He's more fun. He's more exciting. He's the roller coaster. whatever. And you're still a good dude. You're dutiful. You're loyal. You're dependable. You love her and everything else. Maybe you'll stick by her even after the trial is over. The fact of the matter is that kid or whoever her lover was alpha enough. He was the guy that she fixated on and probably still is fixated on, because in some of these cases, the chick is still like sending texts even after being arrested, even after making bail, right? So there is kind of, it's almost like hybristophilia, although the kids aren't actually criminals, right? But it's almost this obsession. And not all of them are like that, but a good portion of them are, from what I was able to glean from logging these things. But is the kid alpha? It's hard to say. You probably would say no. Like every man who has made something of himself, he's 36 years old, 38 years old, he's in good shape, makes a lot of money, blah, blah. He, maybe in some way considers himself alpha. He would look at that 16-year-old kid and go, there's no way that kid's alpha. Well, he's alpha enough because he looks good and he drops the dick on her, right? It's thrilling enough for that. Alpha for that woman? Yes, absolutely. And here's the problem. Here's the Will Smith analogy. Once that woman has had sex with that guy, that hot dude, hot, H-A-W-T, has had sex with that guy, and she is involved and is invested in that guy becomes the new lover, the one she wants to be loyal to, right? So for her to go back to having sex with her husband after she's had sex after Jada Pinkett Smith fucked August Alsina, sex with Will Smith after that is like cheating on August Alsina. Because it's illicit. He's not supposed to. He's fun in bed. He fucked the living shit out of her. She had one of the best sexual experiences she's ever had. But she's still married to Will. Doesn't want him to know about it. Doesn't want him to think about it. But the sex with Will is never the same, because sex with Will feels like she's cheating on August Alsina now. Now, take that dynamic and put it into the context of the female teacher and the 16-year-old, 16-year-old boy, right? She feels like she's cheating on her real sex interest with the husband that's there, who's just kind of like a deer in the headlights, doesn't know what's going on. He would stand by her no matter what, right? Okay. He's basically a cuckold. He's a cuckold now. In fact, he's worse than a cuckold because he's oblivious to being a cuckold. And she's like, how can you not, like, some part of her psychology is saying, how can I be married to this dumb a fuck? How can I be with this person and be expected to want to have sex with this guy? And he's still naive and stupid enough to believe me and still love me and still be invested in my well-being and provide and protect and be parentally, I don't think of any kids, whatever. Most of these chicks weren't mothers, actually. You got to remember, a lot of these, they might have been married, but most of them were not mothers. They were younger. But imagine this. Okay, I'm just using Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith as an example here. But imagine Jada having, Will Smith wants to fuck Jada. Hey, baby, it's time for us to get after it, right? And in the back of her head, she feels like she's cheating on August Alsina with her husband. And on top of that, she knows on some level of consciousness that Will Smith is a cuckold because she really wants to fuck this guy. But she's like, and he's too stupid or too naive or too trusting or too whatever to even be suspicious that he is a cuckold to August Alsina. Now, maybe he didn't know. I don't know the particulars. I'm just using this as an illustrative example. I'm not saying that this has actually happened between them. But the thing is now you've got that woman who has been with the guy who was the alpha, who rocked her fucking world in bed. And now she has to go back and fuck her boring ass husband because she doesn't want him to get she wants to cover her tracks, right? Then,
resentment.
It's that, yeah. And then you have resentment as a result of that. And so what does that do? It makes sex with the other guy, with August Alsina, that much more exciting when she sees him on the next time. And now she feels like, oh, I fucked him. I'm sorry. I fucked him because I had to. Oh, I really want to be sucking your dick.
Duty and reward.
Yes. That ruins guys. Whenever I bring that up, I've written that in a couple of books where I talk about that. What's the other one? What's the chick who's with Mike Vrabel? Mike Vrabel. What's she's the ESPN chick. Somebody give me that name. The chick who's been cheating on. She was married for 5 or 6 years, and is Mike Vrabel, Vrable, V, just V. There's no F. There's no F. It's a VR. Yeah, there you already had it. Yeah. R Vrabl, Mike Vrabel. Oh, nope, back it up.
This guy.
Yeah, that one. Who was he bang? Oh, what's the chick? There it is. Diana Rossini. Yeah. Yep. Cucked. Her husband is cucked. And even worse, named their son Mike. Oh, per beautiful illustration. I should have used Vrabel. Beautiful illustration. Been married to this guy, has 2 sons with a husband, and is banging Mike Vrabel for 5 to 6 years. Now, I think the husband has filed for divorce. Good for him. I'm sure. The first thing I said is, you better get a DNA test, because I don't think those are your kids. You got to be let's just,
precautions.
But they've been married for something like 8 years, and like they've been having an affair for 5 to 6. Get a DNA test, brother. I'm telling you. I'm sure somebody will do it for free. Oh, but named the son, and then the middle name of the other son was like Mike Vrabel's middle name or some shit like that too. Fucked up, absolutely fucked up. But why? I brought this up before when I've talked about why women won't. And she wouldn't take her husband's last name. Everything I've talked about, everything the manosphere talks about, everything the red pill talks about, right there, Rossini and Vrabel, perfect example. Nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody. Oh, manosphere? What manosphere? Fuck you. Oh my God. It's not going to be the manosphere that leads the most men to the red pill. It's going to be Rossini and Vrabel. It's going to be Call Her Daddy. It's going to be a million chicks on TikTok doing videos in their cars. That's who's going to do it. You don't need to spend any more money or allocate any more taxpayer dollars to any special programs anymore, so the kids won't be Andrew Tate. You know what you want them not to be? You won't want them to listen to Call Her Daddy. That's what, keep your kids away from Call Her Daddy. It's much more invasive than Andrew Tate. Absolutely shocking. I say shocking. Vrabel and Rossini, man, and name the kid. And I've said that before. Like, I have a whole essay as to why women don't take men's last names, because they don't want your shitty genetics. Your genetics are attached to your last name. Men are invested in, like, literally invested in their legacy. I need a legacy. Well, your legacy is your last name. That's called your last name. Your genes are the Tomasi genes. Your genes are the Munoz genes, right? So, and so it's not, it's a form of ownership. Yeah, it fucking is.
They're gene medicine.
Yeah. Yes, you are. You take my last name. It is definitely, you are my bitch. You're my possession. You are in my clan. That means I watch out for you and I fuck up anybody who met you. A gang, here's your gang. Your first gang is your family. So you better have, are you one of the Bloods or the Crips? You're going to take the Blood or the Crip last name is what you're going to take, right? Yes. Absolutely. Does that mean, women are my property? No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, do you belong to this tribe or do you not? Okay, you do? Great. You're going to have the Tomasi last name. There you go. Bang. And you will wear it proudly. If that woman wants you and she has genuine desire for you and she's ride or die and she wants to be like, was it Ryan Gosling and Eva Mendes? She wants his babies. Maybe she's not going to take his last name, but she certainly wants his babies. She's part of the Gosling. Trust me, those kids have the Gosling last name. That's for damn sure, right? But that's because that's his legacy, right? And so not only are you cucking your husband, you're naming your son, his son, or hopefully it's his son, after the guy who you're cuckolding. I brought this up on a few occasions as well. It's like I think this is more common than people are comfortable in admitting. But you can probably find this on any Reddit forum or something like that. You'll find like these pretty fucked up stories of women who have named their son after the hot guy in the foam cannon party. The guy who's now it's not as egregious as like Rossini, right? Clearly, but like the guy who rocked her world in college, his name was Dave, and so she names her son David because she wants this constant reminder of like a guy that was actually the one that she should have been, the one that got away. And what happens is then like the story will go something like this, like they'll name the kid Dave, and the kid will be like 4 years old or 5 years old. And then she and her husband will be getting drunk on vacation with her sister and something, or her friends or something. And they'll go, "Oh, you named your kid Dave? Wasn't that the guy you fucked back in Cancun on spring break in the foam cannon party?" Yeah. Then the guy finds out. Those are great ones. So anyways, is the kid alpha? He's alpha to the chick. You wouldn't say he's alpha. It's a form of contextual alpha, is what I would say it is. Thank you for becoming a member. You get here.
What are you gonna do about it? I'll suck his dick.
No, you get this one. Actually, that Sadia actually probably should be the new member. Right? You should only be a teacher if you are passionate about a subject and want to teach that subject. Why would you want to teach for any other reason? Good example. The best teachers I have ever had are exactly like that. I have, like, people don't know this, but Raul Tomasi I hold 2 degrees. I have a BFA in addition to a BS in psychology, right? I have a bachelor's in psychology for behavioral psychology. Was my focus with personality studies. And then I have a bachelor of fine arts because I double majored, right? So people don't know I have a bachelor of fine arts. I actually am an artist. But so like some of the best teachers I know, especially my art teachers, were the ones that were the most passionate about it. I had a really great, I still remember his name. His name is Mr. Wells. He's probably not there anymore. He's probably long gone. But Mr. Wells was a history teacher at Pasadena High School when I was at Pasadena High School. Was one of the best teachers I ever had. Fantastic. He's good with his students. Made history fucking fun. It was great. I look forward to going to his classes, especially at a time where it's like, when you're 14, 16 years old, you're like, fuck the world. But it was fun to go. It was fun to go to Mr. Wells' class. I still remember. Those are the teachers whose names you will remember. But yeah, I highly agree with that. Is it worth arguing or debating male and female feminists? They have zero common sense and sort of go into a fit like Mike's situation. Would you rather be right or would you rather be happy?
Rather be right.
You'd rather be right. A lot of people would. I don't know. I think it sort of depends on the person. Like it might just like
because happiness is relative, right?
So here's my take on debating pretty much anybody. It doesn't have to be feminist, right? This annoys the fuck out of my wife, by the way. So what I will do is I will think about like debate. Like you guys have heard me talk about how debate is dead. There's no such thing as debate anymore because it's not about debate. It's just about like, it's just the politics of personal destruction, which is what surprised me about the conversation between Constantine and Andrew Wilson, which I thought was really good. But it's not about debate is no longer about finding truth. It's about calling somebody a dickhead. And that's really what you're going to end up coming down to. You can enter in. So here's my thought process. And this is what pisses my wife off. Whenever I think about debating somebody or starting some shit with somebody, right? Or entering into conflict with somebody, whether it be physical or mental or whatever, or, posting up on somebody, or it could just be like telling somebody, hey, put your fucking dog on a leash. Your dogs need to be on a leash. Look, see that sign? The sign says dogs on a leash. Put your fucking dog on a leash, right? Like, okay. So I can do that. And I have done that before, especially after Ned and everything he's been through. But I'm generally kind of like, I won't say conflict averse, but I'm just kind of like, is it worth it to fucking even engage, right? Because at the end of it, I already know how this is going to go. This guy is a fucking idiot. Anything I say is not going to change his mind, right? One of the reasons I say that women will never be held accountable, I don't care how many times you go on Fresh and Fit. I don't care how many times you're on whatever or on Access Vegas. I'm not trying to, I've given up on trying to make women think about things differently. Some of them come around. Some of them eventually start going, you know what? I've been thinking about what you're saying and you're right. But most of them, you're never going to change their mind. They're not going to go home and go, oh, wow, what Roller said really made me want to rethink my life. I think I'm going to start living differently. No, you're not. You're not going to. There's no such thing as making a woman be held. I'm going to hold her accountable. And then what? Well, what's she going to do then? Nothing, right? So I always, whenever I approach that, I'm thinking, okay, I go over it in my head. I have the conversation in my head. Okay, if I say this, then they'll say that. And if I go this, then I'll say that. And if I go say this, then they'll say that. And then at the end of it, no, you know, am I going to change their mind? Probably not. Because most people don't change people change their mind for two reasons. One is they're at a point of crisis, right? They're going through a trauma, they're going through a breakup, they're going through something is really fucking them up where they've been shaken to their core and they're going, you know what? Maybe my fundamental beliefs about life are been wrong and I need to start thinking what I've been doing is not working and I need to rethink something like that. You will no man will ever bring a woman to that point. You might bring your brothers to that point, but you'll never bring a woman to that point, right? She has to do that on her own because it can't, God forbid, I'm like this because of you. God forbid that woman go, I'm a better person because you held me accountable and I just changed my mind about everything. And thank you for changing my life for all those things you said on that podcast that one day. Never going to happen. So that's one way. The other way is force. A gun to your head. Most people will not make a personal change without there being a crisis or a threat. Those are the only reasons people do that, because you will talk yourself out of it. You have to come to a point of crisis. Oh my God, I am a drug addict. I need to get into rehab and change my life. Oh my God, I'm an alcoholic. Oh my God, I am 2,000 pounds overweight and I need to get down to fighting weight again. Oh my God, I need to do whatever. Crisis or threat. Those are the two things that make people change their behavior. And so then I mull that over in my head and I go, is it really worth my time? Like I could be, the time I just wasted even just processing all of that, I could be writing another book. I could be doing something productive and making money or helping people in general. So I think it just kind of goes down to a case by case. Like, is it worth, here's what I would say. Is it worth your time to enter into that? Could you be taking the time you would spend with them, with a feminist, whatever, and applying it to something more productive? I think Mike did. And I'll tell you why, because Mike was never going to change that bald-headed dude's mind about anything, because everything but Jesus. That was all his answer to everything was just, well, but church, right? So that he was never going to change his mind. But you know whose mind he might change, or you know who might actually follow him and like him as a result of that? Everyone who is watching. I don't enter, people find this hard to believe. I don't enter into conversations with the women on Access Vegas because I think I'm going to change their minds. I do it because of the clips. No, I do it because somebody somewhere might be watching that and they might go, I never thought of it that way. And that's what one of the principles I think that like Mike was saying is like Tom Bialew's wife hates our guts, right? We'll never go on Tom Bialew. We'll never go on Steve Bartlett. We'll probably never go on Chris Williamson. We'll probably never get on Rogan. We'll probably never get on these A-list podcasters, and not because they're worried that we'll fuck things up or that people will unsubscribe from Joe Rogan, right? Or from Tom Bialew. They're worried that people will listen and they'll relate with it. They're worried that they'll like us and they'll follow us. That's what they're worried about. They're concerned that somebody somewhere watching might say, you know what? I never heard it that way. I think he's right. That's what scares them, and it scares them like you wouldn't believe. Like I was going to show up. I don't think if I have enough time to do it now, but I was going to show this clip of, maybe I will. It's Chris Williamson and Richard Reeves, who was just interviewed recently, and I'm listening to this stuff, and I'm going, Chris, why he's saying exactly the same shit that me and Mike have been saying for forever. We'll never get past the gate not because Richard Reeves in any way agrees with us or we have some sort of mutual, understanding between us. It's because Chris is worried that the people watching that show will agree with us. That's why they're worried. They're more worried about the narrative than anything else. Now people will go, well, they'll fight me on this. They'll go, well, no, it's about the money, blah, blah, blah. I go, no, it's not about the money. Because if you look at major media corporations, let's just say Disney, for example, Disney will produce shit movies. If they think they can put a narrative out there, it doesn't matter. They'll take the loss. They'll take the L. How do I know that? Go look at the analytic. Go look at the money and the ratings for Miss Marvel. That was the first Marvel movie that lost money. That was the first one that was the worst dog that they ever produced because it was just this feminist claptrap. It was just wokesy bullshit. And they released it on Women's Day, March 8th, when it came out too. Right? It was so overly, blatantly, girl power. And everybody was just like, oh, God, Mary Sue. Like, people hated Star Wars, right? Or the sequels because of the whole Mary Sue thing with Rey, right? And why did they do that? Well, why did they continue to make that? Why did they continue to push that? Well, why did they make the movie in the first place? Well, first of all, they can blame it on me. You're a misogynist. Those misogynist men hate this, but everybody else loves it except for you guys. No, everybody hates it. But they're willing to take a loss as long as the narrative gets out there. Same thing with Netflix, man. How many people have been watching? I know you've done this. I know this is happening. How many times you've been watching a Netflix show and you go, damn, this is a great show. And then by the third episode, two dudes start kissing. And you're like, God, now I either stop watching this because these are unnecessarily gay characters that do nothing to advance the plot. This is just fan service and gay service and whatever service. Gay. It's there just to be gay, right? There's no reason that these two people couldn't be heterosexual man and wife, right? Two dudes start kissing by episode 3, and you're left with the question: do I keep watching this shitty show because I'm so invested in it, or do I turn it off and forget about it? Right? Why do they do that? Because the narrative is more important than the money. The narrative is more important than that. So the same thing applies to arguing a point with feminists, arguing a point with Tom Bilyeu. By the way, speaking of Tom Bilyeu's wife, I don't know what her podcast name is, but she's built a whole brand on the coattails of Tom Bilyeu, of course. Nobody, I don't even know her name. She's just Tom Bilyeu's wife. She's got the cornrows going on, and every thumbnail is her like she's, she's got that. You can see all the whites of her eyes. I can't even do it because my eyes won't even do that. And like that, like thousand. It was not the cow. It's not a thousand cock stare. It's like a thousand crazy stare is what it is. Anyways, she was on with Coral Osborne recently. And it wasn't I watched it because Coral's on it, right? Yeah. And I love me some Coral. But she's basically talking about the same kind of shit that me and Mike would have said on Tom Bilyeu's show that we couldn't go on because she nixed it. She wouldn't have let me and Mike go on and talk about the same shit. They had Orion Taraban on there, said the same exact shit. Well, he's past the gate. Coral apparently got past some gate. I don't think Coral's entirely past the gate on some of these shows, but who had said the same thing. So what's the difference? Like, why me? Why not me and Mike, who have an intimate knowledge of the manosphere? Why would you not want to talk to us? Well, because we will ruin your fucking narrative. All right. Oh boy, that's a good one. Hey, thank you, Rolo. Your work saved me. Awesome. I'm glad it did. Please repeat that. Go and say that put that on Twitter. Put that somewhere. Sudanese Muslim doc. Wife changed after our son, so I filed for divorce and took back control. She fell right in line and is incredibly happy. Read all 6 books. Beat Matrix Sedation at 5'6". Fucking A, man. Yeah. I hold 100% frame. There you go. All right. Good on you, brother. See? Success stories. Those red pill guys don't care about anything. Uncle Swallow. Yeah, I'm getting Swallow. You want to talk about Swallow? We're going to talk about Swallow in a minute. I had a long weekend, and if it weren't for you, your advice, it would have been difficult to navigate. Okay. Your feedback on Frame was very useful last week. Abrazos, saludos. Abrazos y saludos. Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you very much. Here, you get one of those too. Because you said it in Spanish. Yeah. So yeah, guys, thank you. I love you. Thank you for this is your show, by the way. Not mine. This is your show. I'm glad to have those, but please go give me a good book review. Throw out another book review. Tell me, let people know that happened. Goodbye.
Bye, Felicia.
Okay, there you go. Oh, here you go. Oh, you want that too?
Say my name.
There you go. Take me out old school style, Tom. I need the gunshot. I need the gunshot sound effect. Somebody give me that one. Yeah. So, well, speaking of Swallow, yeah, I went to the gym on Friday. I went to Powerhouse. I finally got back into it after a 4-month layoff. Seriously, I worked out on the last day I worked out was on December 22nd, which was the day before I went in for my first surgery. Okay. And then so my next workout was last Friday, which would have been the 24th of April. So about 3 months, almost 4 months. Mm-hmm. And I am sore as fuck.
Dom's kicking in.
Yes, man. And I turned 58 too, also, and during that time. And I'll tell you, it's not the muscles. The muscle I can lift, no problem. I have 58-year-old joints, tendons, ligaments, connective tissue, whatever it is. So, but I am sore as hell, and it reminds me of like people ask me, Rolla, when did you start working out? I started working out when I was a junior in high school, and it wasn't called working out. It was the class was called weight training or muscular development or something like that. This is the 80s, okay, mind you. So, and they actually did have a gym, and they had all this Nautilus equipment. It was the old school Nautilus stuff. Everything was like metal weights, like heavy ass metal weights. And it was the Nautilus, the real Nautilus kind of shit. And for some exercises, nothing has really changed. Like an arm curl is an arm curl kind of thing, right? But I started when I was a junior in high school. So that would have been when I was 17. And I remember I didn't really seriously start working out until I got into my late, so 1920, somewhere around there. My brother was an amateur circuit bodybuilder at that time, and my younger brother. And he was more so he did shows and stuff like that. He never got his pro card, but he did amateur circuit for a while. And my brother actually was he didn't own the gym, but he was a manager of a gym in Lake Tahoe. And so we were gym rats for a long time. Like I was never going to do that because I was still a rock star. That was my rock star 20s at the same time, which worked pretty well, working out and being a semi-pro musician, right? As you might guess. But I can remember the day I started working out, like for real. I am as sore now as I was after that first workout. Because goddamn, man, I did chest and triceps. And I have my routine in my head that I'm used to doing. Because I've been doing it for a very long time. And I go in there, and I'm not working out heavy, mind you. I'm just doing, what I would normally do. And I was trying to go light as I could. And even as light as I could, the amount of exercise I was doing is what contributes to the fact that I can't even do like this right now. My tricep is just screaming. I have this necklace. I'm trying to reach up.
You have to duck under.
Yeah, I'm It was killing, man. I still, you have to go like this to pull it off.
Under, pull your shoulder.
My wife's like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "Nothing, baby. I'm fine." Oh God. So, anyways, so just to put, I think I stayed pretty much on topic the whole thing today, but I will continue to keep tracking the female teacher things. I do think that it is primarily just the nature of women to want to be doing this. I don't believe that they are all damaged. Okay, it's just it is what it is. They are in proximity with these young men, young boys, whatever you call them. These 16-year-old guys. I'm using 16 as the middle point. I know that some are older, some are younger. I think a lot of people want me to go and say, yeah, it's because women are just fucked up today. It's degeneracy. No, I think it's just opportunity. And I think that it's the sort of the atmosphere is this permissive atmosphere, especially that is reinforced by things like Instagram. You got a woman who is in her 20s. She's married. Statistically average, she would be married. She's in her mid 20s to like early 30s. She's married to a guy who's more probably a beta, probably married early, and is making up for missing out. And she happens to still be stuck in that adolescent social skill set. So she can still relate, or she still wants to be able to relate to a guy who is 16, 17, 15, whatever years old, is hot and wants to have sex with. It's not going to turn down sex. You got to remember this is there's also the guy's participation in this. It's not like the dude was just like, she put chloroform over him and like brought him to some, abandoned garage to like, get him a hard on and jump on top of him. The guy had to participate in this as well. So you have to understand the interaction between the older woman and the younger guy, right? The guy wants to do it. Of course he wants to have sex with her. She's hot enough, put it that way. She might not be, sapphire hot. Might not be, Las Vegas hot, but she is, and Rob's probably right about this. She's probably she's available too. That's the other thing. She's average. She's ready to go. The availability is there, even though she's married. The 16-year-old kid. Do you think he's going to care if she's married? Probably not, because that's his first sexual. It might be his first sexual opportunity. Probably is, but it's more than that. It's a different situation if you have like the kid who's like, I don't know, maybe he's a football player on the high school football team. He's 16 years old and he could be getting with the 16-year-old girls and his high school. He could be doing that. But then the 24-year-old girl or the 30-year-old chick is showing him all these signs of interest and all these, like, she's way more flirtatious. She's way more giving him way more availability cues, right? Indicators of interest, for lack of a better term, and on a daily basis because she sees him every day. And you take that and then you compound that over the course of time. It's not like these situations just instantly happen, right? Most of them, like a lot of these women groom the kid, right? But even if the kid's not old enough to really be quote unquote groomed, even though most of them are, it's still the process. So the guy has to also play an active role in them coming together. And so what happens is then they do, and now she is guilty of statutory grape. And, he could have enjoyed it. Some of them might be fucked up as a result of it. I don't know. It just sort of depends. Like they might have thought it was a great idea when they're having sex. And then afterwards they're like, oh, what the fuck did I just do? Right. It could be that kind of situation. I know guys who have told me that they have been, they were molested when they were younger, and they were molested by women. And people, well, by women, you would have to get a hard on. You got a hard dick, so you must have wanted to do it, right? That's not the point. The point is first of all, the age of consent. But then after that is, did the kid afterwards say, oh God, I really wish I wouldn't have done that? Because you have so many women who will say, well, who will cry grape and say, well, I thought he was an attorney and then I had sex with him, but it comes to find out that he's actually a sandwich artist at Subway. And I don't really, I wouldn't have given consent had I known that he was actually a sandwich artist and not, working for Morgan & Morgan for the people. I wouldn't have done it. So therefore, ergo, I can't have given him consent, and therefore it was a form of grape. Well, okay, If that's a standard of justice, guess what? Now we can also say that a standard of justice is that guy could have sex with that young guy could have sex with that woman, feel regret for it, and say, you know what? I wouldn't have given my consent, and I am too young to give consent. Anyways, guess what? She's guilty of rape, just like anybody else would be. There has to be that standard of justice. If you want to debate me and you want to fight me on the legality of it, that's a different subject. That's what this boils down to. It's not whether or not the kid enjoyed it. It's not whether or not whatever the particulars are for what led up to the event. Right? There could be other multiple charges too. Mm-hmm. She also enlisted, the aid of other teachers and other students. That's a crime too. Should she be? Maybe they enjoyed it and maybe they didn't. Doesn't matter whether the kids like playing lookout that she coerced to be the lookouts. Guess what? Now she's guilty of I don't know, whatever, child endangerment or some other crime. I'm sure. Those kids, whether they enjoyed it or not, is immaterial to the fact that she committed a crime. It's still there. So fuck you about he enjoyed it. It doesn't matter if they enjoyed it. Is it a crime or is it not a crime? If it is, then it is. If it's not, then we need to discuss why it shouldn't be. And if that's the case, we need to make sure that it is either a unitary, common standard of justice, or is it a female separate standard of justice? And until you're ready to answer that question, kindly go wipe your ass with the rest of this shit. Because I'll tell you right now, the idea that this isn't common, it's clearly common. It's increased from 2024, 79 up to 91 in 2025. Clearly it's going up. Clearly there's a problem, and they're not all damaged, and they're not all psychopaths, and they're not all predators, because there's too many of them and it's too common, and they share too many commonalities in what they're doing for it to be anything other than the fact that they just want to fuck. And it's not about attention. Can't just, that might play a role, maybe a part of it, but it's not only about attention. I know that you want, like Rob Hunterson, I know you want to make it about attention because that's easier to sell than saying chicks want to fuck. She just wanted his dick. That's what it is. You could simply say that and I'd be okay, he's right. But no, we gotta wait, because women don't just want to fuck, they want attention. Well, they can get attention in many, many different ways, but they're only fucking that guy. And again, the buildup and everything that else has to go along and the logistics that go into it, it can't just be about attention. So come up with something new and get back to me. But you won't, because they're going to sweep this under the rug too. Oh, and let me just say, speaking of sweeping, anybody see the video of Jeremy Boring and Lauren Southern? Apparently, Lauren Southern is claiming responsibility for having built the manosphere. Go fuck you. Yes, Lauren Southern built the manosphere. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. I am not going to show you that video because that will probably get me a copyright strike. But what the fuck, man? Like it would take Jeremy Boring like all of like 1 minute to like go look and see the documentary, literally the documentary she produced at Tenet Media with Alex from Date Psych and so God knows whoever else, to basically shit and tear down the red pill and the manosphere. But maybe it doesn't exist anymore because Tenet Media was destroyed and pulled down by YouTube once the Russia in political influence money came out, and she had to go stand trial for that, and so did Lauren Chen as well. Now, whether or not it was an actual case, like people say, well, they beat the rap, they didn't really happen, there was no Russian money, blah blah blah. I'm like, Tenet Media is still down. Tenet Media didn't get reinstated on YouTube. All the shit that they're trying to fight back and earn back some sort of like public trust. No. And then Lauren Southern, like literally we know what's going on with Lauren Southern and Destiny now. We know they fucked. We've seen the texts. We've seen Kiwi Farms leaks. We've seen all the shit that's happened since then. And I will say this, the only claim to fame that Lauren Southern has that should be acknowledged by the manosphere is she made Eskimo brothers of Destiny and Andrew Tate. That's what we should be talking about. She's the only woman who has fucked Destiny and Andrew Tate. That's it. Congratulations, you win the manosphere. If that's building the manosphere, then you built the manosphere. Seriously. You're really going to claim that you actually built the man? Get the fuck out of here! It's more than a man can take. Like I've done so many expose videos. I have done so much explaining on this. I have meticulously, from like the time her ex-husband started contacting me and telling, having this discourse and this exchange with him. Everybody then giving me all this bullshit about some faked ass ultrasound thing for the baby that between Destiny and Southern, which they still haven't answered whether or not there was one. We know they've been fucking. That we know for sure. We've seen that in the leaks, and we know that is 100% true. We know that there was we know that Destiny was certainly simping for Lauren, and Lauren is a borderline personality disordered woman for Destiny, which, by the way, not my words. Her ex-husband's words from the exchanges and the transcripts that I still have between myself and her ex-husband. And now nobody's questioning me whether or not those are legit. We already know they're legit. You know how? Because of all the Kiwi Farm leaks that confirm everything he's ever said to me. I'm still waiting for that apology from Jeremy from the courting, which is not going to happen because turned out he's actually a real cuck. No, really, he is literally a cuckold. Never going to see that, so I'm not really worried about it. But the fact is like, why on earth would Jeremy Boring be on board with trying to rebuild Lauren Southern? Is he gonna hire her for something? Is she gonna be a new host on some podcast now? She's certainly not going to be on what was it Elijah Schaefer's one? Is it the Riz or the Rift or something like that? Yeah. Pretty sure that show's gone too. So I mean, I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying it's gone. Lauren Southern built the manosphere. Go figure. Well, that explains it. Yeah. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Just the balls. Really? Like, everybody has pretty much, of course, here's the reason why, is because you put MANOSPHERE in any title right now and it plays, because that's the hashtag title, word du jour. Put that in, you'll get it. Everybody wants a piece of it right now. Everybody wants to say they're the manosphere. They hate the manosphere. They love the manosphere, whatever it is. Again, I was, as I was saying before, when I was doing the Jimmy Carr thing, I was looking at that. There's another video running around with, was it Richard Reeves, talking about how the manosphere needs to be, there needs to be an alternative to the manosphere. Let me see. I might just end with that video. Let me grab that. Is it? No, it's not that one. Richard Reeves, where are you, Richard? Is this it? I think that might. Yeah, okay, here it is. Here's Richard Reeves. I don't know where this talk is, but here you go.
Most manosphere content is positive or neutral, right? It's like health related, it's about fitness, it's about whatever. The second one.
How many fitness ones are there? I could show you some of my favorite fitness guys, and it's like Todd Lee. Let's talk about Trent and Master On. That's about health and about fitness and money. And okay, who's doing money? Miguel, I guess, is Miguel and Aaron Clary. Yeah, okay.
The point is the fact that young men are looking online for answers to questions about how to live well today, how to be a man today, just shows you that there's a huge appetite for that conversation.
No, they're actually trying to figure out why they have been sold this bill of goods that they should be gender loathing is what they are looking for answers for. They're looking for answers in a sense that they don't even, you ask, if you call if you call an 18-year-old kid a man, which he technically is because he's now an adult at 18, but women will just man. Yeah. You don't even get to be called a man. Like that doesn't even register, right? So for so long we removed man from the fucking English language. How many? I have 2 essays on this. It's called "Remove the Man" and like "Remove the Man Revisited" or some shit like that. And what it is I was going over. I remember I was hitting on all of these initiatives to change the language in the state government and bylaws and stuff like that to be gender neutral, and how they wanted to take out any word that had the consecutive letters of MAN. So. Fireman turns into firefighter, right? Mailman turns into mail person or mail deliverer or something like that, right? And so essentially the essay was about removing MAN from the English. They just wanted to make everything quote unquote gender neutral. So it's much more inclusive and everything, because gendered language is sexist. I'm like, good luck with Spanish.
Yep.
Because that's all it is.
They
right?
tried with that Latino X, Latinx.
Yes,
Ew.
Latinx.
Ew.
Man, if I started,
I'd rather be called a slur.
Miguel would punch me in the face if I use that, and he'd be right to do so. But yeah, so you've removed the man from society for so long, and you're wondering why these guys are looking for answers online. Okay.
Ask that question. So the question is not, are young men going to ask themselves this question? The question is, who's going to answer it? And right now, they find a lot of the answers online.
Okay. Who should be answering it? Who's a better voice? Who should be saying it? And why are they a better voice? Again, these are conversations you don't want to have, but you presume everybody already knows the answers to.
Some of them are good and some of them are bad, and a lot of them somewhere in between, and these young men are trying to find their way through it. So the hunger. And we create that vacuum very often. But we also, by sometimes overreacting to some of this stuff, and just having this is back to where I said the moral panic. Right, the sound of worried parents slamming their sons' laptops can be heard around New York City right now. And I get it, but also really careful, right? Because there's a surge. Some good and bad mixed in with it. It's very interesting.
Okay, what are the good? What are the bad? We never go into details. There's never anything concrete with these fuckers, man.
It's very segregated by race. Right? So you see Fresh and Fit, for example, they got pulled off YouTube.
They were not pulled off YouTube. They are still on YouTube. I don't know where the fuck you're getting that. I just watched them last night with, what was it, Clavicular and Zerka was on last night. They are most definitely not pulled off of YouTube.
Specifically aimed at black men. Andrew Tate has a strong following among different kind of demographics, especially among young Muslim men, actually.
Yeah, he's a real strong Muslim. Wink, wink, nod, nod.
Well, because he converted to Islam himself.
Yeah, no.
So it's a very complicated story, right? Online. But I think the main thing is young men are asking this question: who's going to answer it? I'd rather we answer it.
Okay. Why would you be a better person to answer it? And what are the questions that you would be answering? All of this is subjective pablum. It is just. The presumption is that they know best. These are your intellectual better. These are your masculine betters. You should learn about masculinity from Richard Reeves, whose wife told him he needed to be more masculine. That's the guy. I would prefer it would be us, because we're going to answer in good faith. Good faith to what? What does that look like? Like, what are you going to tell them that's different?
Good faith. And we should be careful not to treat the exceptions like the rule. As I said at the beginning, I'm going to say this again. Most of the stable measures suggest continued growing support for gender equality, including.
Oh, so there it is. So to be a man, you listen to us, we're going to talk about gender equality, which is pretty much what you've been saying for the last 50 years, right?
So let's not assume that the generation of young men suddenly swung to the misogynist right. There are examples of that, and we'll hear about them later. We should be very careful not to say that that's the media, because it is not. If we say that they are, we'll drive them away.
See, that's the whole thing, is that you never had them in the first place, Rich. You didn't drive them away. They've all stayed the same. They've all been in the same fucking place. I don't have that graph, but the thing is like, if you look, I forget the graph that I had where you look at the political divide between men and women over the course of the year. So you look at the straight across is like neutral, right? and you look at conservatives down and then liberals up, and you look at young women, it's like it skyrockets right around 2016, right? And it's still pretty much up there, right? And then you look at the stats for men, and it's just a conservative, lean a little bit conservative, but they haven't really deviated that much from the mean, right? And the thing is that because we presume that gynocentrism, that the female experience is the socially correct experience. The female experience defines the social narrative because that's what's normal. What women are saying, how women believe, how women experience life, how women are, whatever their issues are, whatever their imperatives are, whatever that is, that's the norm. And so if the norm is 30 points towards the liberal side of the political ideological divide, and men are down still where they were pretty much all the time, we don't say women are radicalized. We say men are radicalized because the norm is way up high, where in that 30 range where the women are. So we say, okay, well, we still want to do this in good faith. Your good faith is 30 points above the mean, because that's where women are at. Because if everything has to be based on the female experience, based on gynocentrism, based on the female experience of life and political ideology and spiritual ideology, whatever it is, women's issues, imperatives and stuff like that, how women see the world and how women experience the world, if that's the norm, then yeah, it certainly seems like men are really fucked up. But they're not. They have never they haven't changed all that much, at least not in political ideology. But women have gone crazy. They're crazy radicalized right now. There's several articles that have been written about this right now. Of course, they're all wrong about the reasons for it, the inspirations for it, but they're not wrong in the analysis. But the thing is if you think if we live in a gynocentric social order and the female experience is the normative one, then men being that far, men are technically 30 points, 30 some odd points, dividing with, that's the gender divide right there. Is between those two. And if that's the case, and you think that the female experience is the normal one, then it looks like men are crazy, because what you're saying is men should have gone up with them, that men should have aligned and raised, they should also be 30 points towards the liberal side of things, right? That's what you're saying should be the norm. They're not leaving your Democratic Party. They were never there in the first place. The women who inform, as Helen Andrews has said, the women who inform the political dialogue are radicalized way to the wokesy, the whole woke movement, whatever you want to fucking call it, the whole wokesy mindset is the female experience. It is that 30-point mark. And if that's the normative woman, you're saying, well, we need to get these guys back. No, they were never back to begin with. What you're saying is we need to drag them up to where we're at right now. We need to drag them up to the 30 points, north to the liberal side, which isn't going to happen. Because the thing that gets me is this: the number one thing that kills me about this whole thing is that there's this idea that guys are just going to come around. Right? like if we they're either the tactic is this: we got to get the guys to start being more aligning with the female. Or we're going to have to just completely ignore them, which is basically what that is what they're going to do. But now we have to have this rhetoric, right? It's why we're talking about gender, like men's issues, like the loneliness epidemic and all this other stuff that you keep. Men are dropping out of education. Men are they're not working. They're sitting at home, stroking off, playing, video games and eating Uber Eats. I don't know, smoking too much weed. But the fact of the matter is that they are not aligning with the female side of things. But for some reason, that makes them deviants. To be a man is to be deviant, is to be subhuman. You can't be a real human being unless you align unless you're a sneaky fucker, unless you are a male feminist, unless you at least say that you align with female imperatives. And that's not going to happen. Guys are just like, fuck it. Why? It's the Andrew Wilson question to Tommy Lahren. What's in it for guys? Why do you want me up there? Why would I agree to go all the way to the 30%, plus 30 on the liberal side? What's in it for me? Is there pussy up there? Because there ain't no pussy I can see. because that's the only thing that they, you clearly you hate men, and clearly, like, what was the there was the study just recently about how was it 50%, 72% of women have a disfavorable opinion of men, whereas for men it's like they have like a 7% disfavorable opinion of women. Wow. It's like, that's your gender divide. That's not the men. You don't have to drag men to like women more, to be more on board. It's the women who have the problem, not the other way around. Richard Reeves, if you're watching this, which I know you're not, it's the problem isn't with the guys. It's not with bringing them up to the norm. It's like telling women, chill the fuck out, bitches. That's where you need to go with all of this. But you can't do that. You know why you can't do that? Because it fundamentally goes against women's survival instincts, is what it is. You can't make women want to get with guys that they don't want to get with. I talked about this on Access Vegas on Wednesday. The real, like, it all comes back, the real problem, like the gender gap, the gender divide, whatever, comes back to one reason. Average women do not want to get with average men. Marriage is only for elite men. Remember that chick was talking about, I need a guy with an 8-inch dick and he's got to make 8 figures and everything on Call Her Daddy. Uh-huh. Like I said, Call Her Daddy is going to be the show that is more red pill than this show, right? They're going to, in a roundabout way, they're just going to explain everything that I'm talking about, right? There'll be an example of anything I've said here. You'll find it on Call Her Daddy, right? But that's I'm not saying every chick is like that. That's not necessarily, she thinks she's a stupid elite chick, but then you go and you talk to the girls on just the average bitches that like Brian has on whatever podcast, and they are saying the same thing. There's 90% of guys are unattractive. Those women are not, they're okay. They're not, most of them are not, they're not Gorlock the Destroyer, but most of them are not fat. So they're kind of, okay, but they're not the chicks that I see in Vegas, but okay, maybe they're co-eds at Santa Barbara, right? But still, the average doesn't want to get with an average guy. Those women want a guy who makes a lot of money, who are very attractive. They say themselves that the only guys that they find attractive are about 5% of the guys that they encounter. What does that say to you? That you have to be in men have to. What's the message? That you have to be in the 5% elite. Marriage is for the 5% elite. They're not going to down their OnlyFans or, leave Instagram unless you're in the 4.5% elite. Now try selling that to a guy like Brad Wilcox, who wants everybody to get married because everybody would be happier if they just got married. Dios, man, I wish you luck. The fertility crisis. Let's talk about the fertility crisis. My God, we're running out of, we're not making enough babies. Well, the reason we have a fertility crisis is average women don't want to fuck average men. That's why. Sorry, why are they all freezing their eggs? Because they are holding out. Those average women are holding out for above average men. That's why. Because they are entitled to it. Not only are you're not going to have them, I'm never going to lower my standards. Well, so there's only two options then. Women have to lower their standards and settle for an average guy. Average women are going to have to, fucking get their shit together and realize that they ain't all that. And they're going to, I'm actually an average woman. He's an average guy. And so therefore we would be better off. Therefore we'd be at parity, right? Be better off. We're better together than we are apart. But that doesn't happen because biology says women want to get with a better than deserved sexual market exchange, right? An equal exchange of value, like I said, doesn't exist between men and women. Average women do not want to get with average men. That's the cause of the male loneliness crisis. That's the cause of the men dropping out. That is the cause of the fertility crisis. That is the cause of the 6.1 per 1,000 lowest marriage rate in recorded history problem. That's the divorce rate. That's everything else. That's the gender gap right there. Everything solved by one simple equation. Average women don't want to get with average men. Average women believe that they are entitled to above average men. Until you solve that problem, guess what? Fertility rates are going to still decline. Loneliness is going to increase. Male suicide is going to increase. Everything that men are going to keep, they're just going to drop out. The membership, like people finding the manosphere and the red pill, that's going to increase. all of that shit's going to increase until you can address that. And you know what? You're never going to address that because it's rooted in women's biology. It's rooted in hypergamy. It's rooted in evolution. Women don't want to get with a guy like that. And why should they? So you can do the turd flinging monkey thing and you can take women's rights away from them. you could repeal the 19th, which is not going to happen. And I'm not saying that we should repeal the 19th because I don't think you can possibly do that. It's not going to happen. You're never going to take women's rights away. You're never going to take the 19th Amendment, repeal the 19th. It's not going to happen. You need another solution. You need another workaround because it's not going to be women that fight you the most. It's going to be guys that fight you for that. They're going to tell because they want pussy. And if it means defending the 19th, they're going to be the first ones on the front line. It's going to take a war. It's going to take selective services. It's going to take a meteorite. It's going to take something that is going to be very uncomfortable, very violent, and is going to hurt a lot of people before you see any kind of social change. It was not going to happen. You will not force women to appreciate men who they think are subhuman. You are not. You can change this. It can be changed by teaching the next generation to not fear men. You can teach the next generation that that men are not inherently untrustworthy. You can, get Disney and the rest of the media corporations to actually produce movies that put men in a heroic role or profile and start building men up to be something more than just this, okay, I'm going to support you. And putting, the warrior princess as the lead character, right? You would have to fundamentally re-engineer society. Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? Fuck you. No, it's not. So we need to send the meteor, send the Death Star, send the laser, laser beams. Yes. That's the only way. I hate to say it. I hate to be negative and cynic at the end of the show, but that's the real problem. And until asshats like Scott Galloway, Richard Reeves, the rest of these A-lister podcast guys, and that this is what they don't want you to hear on their podcast. Average women don't want average guys. It's very simple. Remember the Atlantic article where like women are embarrassed to have boyfriends? Remember that one? Yeah. And then Scott Galloway is like, yeah, because men ain't shit. Men need to be better and everything. And then men need to take a shower and put on deodorant. All you got to do is just make a minimal effort and just go and do something and lose some weight and make some money. And average women don't want average men. Simple as that, Scott. Sorry, that's basically what it comes down to. And you know why they're embarrassed of having a boyfriend? Because they know that they will lose market share. They will lose social capital if they show a picture of a guy that's with them. Because you know what they don't want their friends to say? You could do better. Mm-hmm. That's what they don't want to hear. They don't want their friends to say that, and they don't want all of their male orbiters to go, unfollow. Not following this bitch no more. She's hooked up. She's with the dude. The the perception, the fantasy of attainability, poof.
No longer feasible.
No longer there. Don't believe me? Even married women will do that. I just got this. I'm going to put this in. I got to put this as an overlay. This is too good not to. Because I keep talking about this. I actually dug this up and found this. I was trying to use this as an example on Access Vegas. And there you go. Okay, here you go. Is that Messi? Is that Messi's and Ronaldo? Hold on. So first one, left side, Leo Messi with his wife or his girlfriend, I'm not sure. And then on her Instagram is the same beach, the same chick. Then you got Cristiano, who's with she's a piece of ass. And then Georgiano, I guess that's her. There it is, right there, same vacation. And then you've got Paul Dybala. Is that who that is? I don't know who that guy is. But the chick is on the same beach, same spot. No dude. These chicks are with like the elite of the elite. When it, like I know who Messi. I know who Messi is. Okay, come on. Now you're going to tell me that men need to man up and they need to be better because they don't want to be embarrassed of you. Well, apparently Leo's Messi's chick is embarrassed of him. Unbelievable. Oh, here we go. And what do the women bring? Well, that's always the question, isn't it, Steve? That's the Andrew Wilson question to Tommy Lahren. What do you bring to the table? And I love it when still to this day, I think that's probably the best definition of the divide between men and women. What do women bring to the table besides their pussy, right? And men aren't supposed to ask that question. Real men aren't supposed to ask that question because you're supposed to want me. I've seen guys on sort of the STDs. That's what they bring. Cooter. Thank you. Keep going. Matt Stafford's wife. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Whatever. Vrabel's bitch. Yeah. No, the fact of the matter is like, I'm bringing this to light. All I have to say is average women don't want to get with average men. Let's have a discussion about that. You can't, because it destroys a narrative. If I want, like, okay, who should we have talking to young men today? Well, I think that somebody who accepts the fact that average women don't want to get with average men would probably be a good place to start, Richard Reeves. But you'd have to go to the manosphere to get one of those guys. You'd have to get some guy who's fearless enough to face the fact that he can speak unflattering truths about women's nature and not have to worry about being called a misogynist or being canceled for it, or God knows, being shot in the throat for it, for speaking the truth, for bringing shit to light that people don't, because it ruins their identity, because it ruins their ideology, and their ego is invested in those beliefs. That's how you get this son of a bitch that, what's the guy that went after Trump last night?
I don't know his name, but the shooter.
Like, really? 3 times. What does that tell you? What does that tell you about the left? Like, I mean, they've tried 3 times and they got, 4 if you count Charlie. So they got Charlie. They got one hit after 4 tries, right? Like, they want you gone. They want you DEAD. That's what they want. That's part of the wokesy narrative too. Gotcha. That's what they want, man. And the whole thing with, I'm not a big Trump fan. I'm not a MAGA dude. I try to stay out of politics, like in the most primal way. I mean, if it has something to do with intersexual dynamics, I'll talk about it. If you want to talk about Trump and Stormy Daniels, I'm here. Okay. You want to talk about Trump and Melania, I'm here. Right. We can talk about that all day long. We can talk, grab him by the pussy. Let's go. But I'm not a Trump supporter or a Trump hater. Right. It is what it is. It's like, it's what we deal with. I wish we had better candidates. I wish we had better people to run the country, but but I've never been on that. I've never made this show about politics, and I never will. I've never made this show about religion, and I never will, because I only make this about religion when it crosses over into intersexual dynamics. People are giving me shit about oh yeah, Rollo, you're anti-Christian, blah, blah, blah. No, I am not anti-Christian. If I was anti-Christian, I wouldn't say shit about, what's her name, Paula White, rolling around like she's got like fucking convulsions or some shit like that. Like I see just video after video of some female pastor after female pastor. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'll go and I'll say, Christianity is lost. Something very simple like that. Oh, Rollo, you must hate Christian. I don't. I'm only saying that because I'm like, look what's happening. What are you going to do about it? How are we going to, like, this is bullshit. I hit left and I hit right. And then when I say, hey, look, in the Paula White looks like she's needs her meds or something, right? She looks like she's got Parkinson's. Oh, you may hate the religion. No, I'm not. No, not at all. If I did, I wouldn't say anything at all. I would just be, yeah, fuck those crazy people. Yeah, I say it because I care. That's why. But, where are you going to go with that? Nowhere. It's another one of those things where, like, people, like what I was just saying before, it's like, what about debating feminists and everything else? It's the same thing as debating like these people who are like very, dyed in the wool turn or burn evangelical Christians or ortho bros or Catholics or whoever else. They're all pretty much buy into the same, not saying the ideology, but the same sort of mechanisms, right? So I can't win. There's no way I win against any of these guys because God. Well, what about hypergamy and this and the war price dynamic and Alpha Widow? God. What about average women and average God? That's all, because that's all Brian on Ryan Panetta's show was throwing at Mike. You're not arguing with God's not arguing with me. He's arguing with the stats. That's how it works. All right, I'm done. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Let's see. There is no Access Vegas this week. We're doing May 6th is the next one we're doing. I have a little bit of an announcement, kind of an interesting one. Nobody gave me $1,000 in super chats. I was going to take this. I really want to get this beanie off, but you guys got to make it worth my while, because average beanies average beanies don't care about average super chats. No, so we've got something brewing right now, me and Mike. A couple of things actually, but I'll let you in on one of them. Well, first of all, we're going to be at the White Party in Miami. I got to stress that. If you want to go, if you want to be part of that, you don't have to be a member of the of Reignite. We would love you to be, but if you don't want to, you can still get a price for the Miami trip. It's the first link that I have down in the description right there, so you can check out that. Miami's always fun. I'm going to do my best to. Matter of fact, I got a schedule with Myron and Fresh. There's a possibility. There's a very possibility. I'm looking at Kyle right now. There's a distinct possibility that we might have clavicular at the Miami White Party right now. Yeah, so we're talking about it right now. It's not up to us. It's not up to Mike. It's up to Steve Fowler, who's the organizer. And I don't know if he wants that many people like coming to see the whole thing, because you have to be invited to be in the thing, right? To go. And so we might still do it, but we'll see what happens. We will probably end up with doing something with Clav while we're out there at some point. At least that's in talks right now. So it'll be kind of fun to see that happen. Will Clav be sober for the question? Yeah, maybe. I kind of look at, I like Clav, I really do. But I think he's a product. I think a lot of the stuff everything's a scandal. Every week there's a new Clav scandal. I wake up every Monday morning, I go on my iPad and I go, what did Clav do now? But I like so here's what I like about Clav. Clav inspires conversations that people are uncomfortable with. And I like to see people squirm. Right. I like to, especially like TradCons, but he asks, it's the questions he asks. The very fact that he would be on 60 Minutes and walked off of 60, like, he's going to walk 60 Minutes. He's going to walk off. What show hasn't Clav walked off of? Right. But the fact that 60 Minutes saw him as important enough to try to interview the guy they essentially wanted to pull up Louis Theroux on him. They wanted to, let's see if I can get this guy. Right. And Clav was just, he's not dumb. He can see right through shit like that. But it actually kind of made the interview guy, because it was 60 Minutes Australia, right? Yeah. Kind of made the interview guy look kind of like an idiot, because you could tell he was trying to bait him with these questions, right? And it was pretty obvious. Like, if you're going to bait somebody, the worst thing you can do is make the bait obvious. But so there's a possibility we might do something with Clav while we're there. If we can do it at the Miami White Party, that would be fucking great. So that's one. The other thing is, we've been approached by another documentary team, and I believe they are ABC Australia, and they're doing a series on the manosphere, and they actually have called me, and they wanted me to get in touch with Mike, and so I've talked to them 3 times already. And I am, of course, I'm very hesitant about all of this, but I did agree to have them come in similar to what we did with the CBS crew.
Mm-hmm.
So on May 19th and May 20th, we are going to be, that's the next, I said May 6th is the next Access Vegas. After that will be May 20th, which is a Wednesday. And then we will have their film crew will be in for that one. And we'll do something very similar to what we did with the CBS crew. We will probably be cast in a bad light, I'm sure, but like I know my shit well enough, so I feel pretty confident about it. I know Mike is going to be just going to do what Mike does, right? So hopefully that will be. Yeah, I know they're like, trust me, I know they're lefty. I know everything I need to know. Trust me on this one. But the good thing is this: is that we're going to have them in to do what the CBS crew did. Now, whether or not they use the footage is anybody's guess. But it's a live stream. So anything that happens during that time will already be recorded. We don't need a secret GoPro because we're going to be there on the live stream when we're doing it. So we will have, that's one of the things I insisted on. I said, we're going to be doing the live stream. You guys can come in and film for the live stream, but that's it. I want you guys to, if you want to talk to us, fine, but we're going to be doing that segment, whatever it is that you want to do, where you're talking to the girls or we're here on the table and stuff like that. I want to make sure that you understand that this is going to be streamed live. So anything these guys put out on the documentary, you'll have already seen on the live stream on Access Vegas. So, yes, I know they will do a hit piece. Absolutely. We know. Don't do it. You think we shouldn't do it? People are saying we shouldn't do it. Oh. It probably would have said the same thing if we would have done Louis Theroux's thing. I probably would have regretted that too. But I don't see. Here's the problem. Like, everybody said I shouldn't do Dr. Phil, and I did it anyways. I kind of knew what I was going. I knew I was going in for an ambush, but I was prepared. Because I know it's an ambush, I was prepared to go head to head. But then I could have turned it down, and I was thinking about turning it down, and I was like, my philosophy, my outlook on doing these things is that if I go into the Lion's Den, if I go in and I'm talking to people who are normies, right? If I'm talking to like commercial television, or I'm talking to people who are in the quote unquote mainstream, I better know my shit. I better know what I'm talking about. I'm not worried about Mike. Mike knows his shit, and he knows how to deliver the shit, right? I mean, if you saw him, like, it's textbook. His textbook state control was Mike when he was on Ryan Panetta's show. State control. It's like, because I could tell the guy, they were trying to get him. He was smiling, like, no, you're not gonna get me. That's like military. Like, I teach that to you in the military. Like, that's you get that in officer training course, which you get that, like, that's part of it, right? He knew what he was doing. I know that they are the worst people on earth, but I should be good enough to know my shit well enough to say to the worst people on earth, here's what this is about. This is what we do. Here's where we're at. Would you like to know what the 80-20 rule is? I would love to tell you what the 80-20 rule is, because it gets so fucking distorted all the time. Whatever. The same thing is, like, if I don't know my shit well enough to go into to go to Paramount Studios to do the Dr. Phil show, then what the fuck am I doing here? What am I doing writing books? I need to be on top of it. And I think I did very well on both issues on 2 episodes of Dr. Phil. People still talk about this shit today, right? So if I don't know my shit, I don't know my shit. Whether I'm talking to ABC or I'm talking to Kyle, right? I need to know my shit. I got to be able to speak what I know, right? And that's all I'm going to do. And that's all fucking Mike is going to do too. Trust me, I won't have a little dog tucked under my arm, and I won't have my wife there, and we won't be talking about our open relationship, which we don't have. We won't be doing anything like that. There won't be. They won't put me in a pink tutu. What else? What are we worried about? What's the worst that could happen? Let's throw out what do you think is the worst that they could possibly do? Right? Me and Mike were like, hey, how come we didn't get the call from Louis Theroux? We know why we didn't get the call, right? But I want the opportunity to ruin their narrative. If they're going to give me that opportunity, I'm going to ruin their narrative. I got to put my money where my mouth is, right? I can't be here and saying, like, come in here and debate me if you think I'm wrong about something. Well, let's talk about this issue right here. Come in and you're welcome to come in the door anytime you want. I can't do that and just go, oh, no, I can't talk to these guys. Yes, it will be a hit piece. I have no doubt it will be. But that's the thing, is like the reason I did Dr. Phil is because I knew that if I didn't do it, someone else would, and they would fuck it up. There'd be an HS Tiki Talkie would go. So, the equivalent of HS Tiki Talkie would go on there. I'm the minister. No, you're not. No, you're a grifter is what you are. You're a fucking shyster is what you are. You're not the manosphere. You're not trying to help guys. In fact, he literally says, I just want the money. Mm-hmm. Right? I've been the most consistent voice in this space for 24 years now. I'm not in it clearly I'm not in for this kind of money. I can't even get you guys to front me $3,000 to take the beanie off. So anyways, that's it. We're going to do that. That'll be the 19th and the 20th of May. As we get closer, I might make a bigger deal out of it later on, but I just thought I'd throw that out there and let you guys know what's going on, what's coming down the pipe. I will be doing a midweek stream on Wednesday, either Tuesday or Wednesday, on my own or with Joe Marin. We'll see what happens, but I'm starting to do more short form stuff because that's what the algorithm wants, not this long 4-hour shit. So anyways, that's the story, and hopefully that's a good outline of the female teacher, male student thing. That's this annual. I should have done this last year, as I said. I'll probably do another one towards the end of the year, see how many we get, how many more times this has to happen before something happens, before we do reevaluate the laws, right? Which we won't. They'll just keep going because, as Mike says, nobody cares. Nobody will care. But I'm here to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. So that's my job, and I'm sticking to it. Guys, thanks for watching. I will see you guys next week. Thanks, Kyle. Bye-bye.
Tell these bitches to go to hell.
I need to feel you on top of me. It was my first time, but I was just a kid when we met and went to bed. It was my first time. What'd you expect from me? I'm breaking up the rules now in the game. I've got some new tools.
I want to cast magic missile.
No, we're never gonna score. We're never gonna score. Now we're fucking in the bathroom, tearing up every wall while I got your hair. Why you screaming my name?
That's nasty. It is nasty, right? Isn't it nasty? Ugh.
She was swinging in the bedroom, whole time stopping and stubbing with her head like she's Claudia Kelly.
Well, I'm a whore.
Run me up and down like a pony, turning up my song, getting messy, working up and down on your body. Run me up and down like a pony, turning up my song on your body. Baby, we'll get down to it. Good day, sir.
I'm gonna get the whole man.
podcast has been a production of the Rational Mail. All rights reserved. Registered trademark 2026. And don't steal my Twitter account again.
What are you going to do about it? I'll suck his dick.
Every time a man's being nice to you, all he's doing is offering dick. If maybe we can talk again, and maybe things are different. Goddamn, maybe one more again. Won't you put it on me one more again? If maybe we can talk again.
Kowalski analysis.
Goddamn, maybe one more again. Best day of my life.
God wants you to have the baby.